is here. It's big. And it's closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live at the Bike, brought to you by the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles, California, the first and only webcast of real action cash game poker. My name's Bart Hansen. I'm here with Dave, talking with Dave. We're fresh off of just completing another episode of the video blog, which I think will be up on the website tomorrow or so? Yeah, tomorrow. So tonight we're going to be doing 200 no limit, and everyone say, oh, it's 200. But what we did, and actually had Elizabeth, the floor man, and Mo, we had a little discussion around 2:30. We started the game at 2 o'clock. Right. So this game is going to play more like a 3 to 5. This game might have more action than a 3 to 5 that we just start, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm already looking at seat number 2, who's got, looks like about 1,500 in chips.
Yeah, crazy. So let's head over there. Let's get to it.
Let's do it. In seat number 1, we've got Dennis, a new player on the show.
Yep.
And Dennis looks like he's got about $300. Now, remember, these guys all bought in for only $200.
Yeah. So
he's already got 50% more than he started with. Now, Michael's the guy I was talking about in seat number 2. And Michael, wow, he's still stacking his chips. And he looks like, just off the top of my head, he looks like he has probably close to $1,200 in front of him. Seat number 3, we've got Aaron. And I can't get a glimpse of Aaron's chips. It looks like he's about $300, though, looking at a different monitor. Seat number 4, we've got Raphael. Raphael also has over $300. Seat number 5, we've got Keith, another new player on the show. And I think he's wearing a Guinness shirt, which just makes him super cool. And he's a little short there. He's only got about $120 in chips. Seat number 6 is Dan, and Dan hasn't been on the show in a while, but he is a Live at the Bike regular. Got about 200. Rick there in seat number 7, Rick Nebbiolo.
Double night, two nights in a row.
Yeah, and...
or not 2 nights in a row, he was on here on Tuesday.
Right, and he's got about a little over 300 in front of him. Now, seat number 8 is Walt. And it's funny, you know, sometimes people always say how as you move up, the players are better. But if you look at the game, this game here, Walt's a real solid player, Rick's a real solid player, and they're playing in the 200 game.
You know, I don't even know if Walt knows this, but I overheard him talking to somebody. He's playing this game so his sister can watch him. So hello to Walt's sister.
There you go.
And he didn't ask me to say that.
And
nice
seat
guy.
number 9 is Josh. That's just a sexy-looking man.
Look at that tattoo, man. Crazy stuff.
Yummy.
A little like Nick Frankos, a little bit.
Yeah.
You ever seen him play? You ever played in poker in Atlantic City before? I never have.
I have.
You have?
I have.
Do you think it's a little bit... how is it different from L.A.?
You know, I played there before I was professional.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to judge it. I was really playing stud there. I think all my experience in Atlantic City is stud.
Rick is going to take that first hand down with ace-king. As always, we like to keep the show interactive. You can email us at liveatthebike.com. Questions, comments, suggestions. Follow a live thread, start on the internet by going to 2plus2.com, spelled out, click on forums, World Poker Tour, etc. We did 3 hands in the video blog, Dave, and from now on we're only going to do 2. Because this was about a 25-minute episode, but I got to get to 2 people's hands, and I also did the Abo Kirk hand, so it's fun stuff.
Shot a Hollywood Russ there.
Yeah, Hollywood Russ.
Scouring over his prey.
You know, an interesting email here we had from Dr. Allen, who plays on the show.
Oh, he plays the big game, Dr. Allen.
Yeah, and this was right after the show, but this was in regards to the question of why we have a collection pot versus a pure collection. And I'll get to that in a second here. It's limped here, Jack 7 against 8-10.
Yeah, now 8-10 has outflopped him. He's got a pair of 10s.
But it gets checked, and Josh is going to bet here. He doesn't have anything but power of position. And what is Keith going to do?
And obviously that hand's probably strong enough to bet, but probably not strong enough to call. And I don't think he's going to get involved. Looks like he's going to throw it away. Yeah, he throws it away.
And he was saying that at most of the casinos around town, as far as I've seen in Vegas, the collection games are mostly just collection games. And it's at the discretion of the players to make it a collection pot. All players have to agree to the collection pot, or it becomes a pure collection. The exception when there is maybe one or two holdouts and the rest of the table agrees to allow the holdout to pay his own. Many times you go to the other big game casino in town, spend a collection pot long before you get there, and actually lately it seems that they just assume it's going to be a collection pot from the beginning. However, if you're playing at one of the must-move tables sometimes we have of that game, there will not be a collection pot because, of course, people are coming in and out of that.
Right. I mean, I will say, actually, if you are not present at the table and and you miss a collection pot, they will actually take the $11 out of your stack because you still have to pay that. You still have to pay your half hour.
We had a raise here by Aaron with ace-9. A couple callers here. It's missed everybody. So, from what Dr. Allen says there is that it seems like it is a collection here, but people have just gotten in the habit of having a collection pot. So if I go and object, or if a couple people object, they'll just make it pure collection?
They might. It's one of those things where they can say they might just let you pay your collection.
Right, that's what he...
You know what I mean? But then again, Mo, it is Mo's no limit. Mm-hmm. He is the host, and I guess that's the way he wants it.
Well, I think it's probably from Yosh, actually.
Right.
Before we were doing Big No Limit, that was the only collection pot game. Yeah. His big mix game.
I mean, it favors a player like you to actually have a collection pot. And it doesn't favor a player like, say, Corporation Mike. Now, Corporation Mike is going to win that collection pot more often than you would.
Right, because he's just winning more hands.
Exactly. I mean, if you actually played in a collection pot game, the good chance is that you're not going to pay collection the entire night. You're going to play it for free.
Now, look at this guy's chip stack. My goodness. He's going to bring it in for a $40 raise, which is a big raise in this game.
Now the funny thing is, if other players had the same stack he had, the $40 raise is fine.
Right.
But he's got to realize that nobody else has that much money. But again, so he doesn't have to raise that much.
If I have that stack, I can be if I have this guy covered, I can be calling him with a lot of hands for $40.
Definitely, but nobody's got close to covered.
Right, especially when, sometimes a lot of these guys who play in a 200 game, they're not, that experienced playing deep stack, and he is deep stacked in a $5 big blind game here.
Definitely. This is a game. It's a great game. If somehow you can get into this game and you get a couple of more players, each with $900, $1,000, $1,100, and somehow you can cover them, it's a great game to play because you and I and other players probably have a lot more experience playing deep stack in bigger games than they do.
Yeah. Four-way action here. It's limped around. King 10 Jackal. The big stack here is flopped top and bottom. A couple clubs out there. Not a hand of slow play.
No, Rick is open-ended.
I assume he's going to bet here in position.
Now Rick is
that is unbelievable. He checked it in position. The turn's a 5.
Wow. He survived it.
Wow. And now Rick is going to come out and bet.
He's going to bet $10. Well, the pot is only 13 actually.
I assume Michael is going to. He min raises. Dave.
Well, you can almost call this just because the pot is laying you enough to see if you hit your hand.
Yeah. And is the guy going to pay him off if Rick gets there with an ace or a 9? Here we go to the river, and the river's an ace, and it's a third club.
Now, it is a club, and you wonder if Rick is just going to be content in kind of...
No, I don't think so. When the guy raised me, Dave, Rick checks.
And the guy's going to bet it?
He's going to bet the 2 pair. Are you kidding me?
25.
He bets 25.
Well, it's an easy call, obviously.
And this is dumbfounding.
Well, it is a 200 game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to remind you of that all night long. Mm-hmm. We're playing $200 no limit hold'em here.
That's right.
Blinds are 3 and 5.
Yeah.
The vast majority of the players that play 200 are all recreational players here. Just have a good time.
I know you have to remind me of that sometimes, Dave.
So I had an interesting conversation with Hob last night, actually.
Did you ask him about the hand with the ace-queen, with the ace-10 against Paul?
Yeah, he thought Paul had ace-king, and he was trying to get him off it.
Oh, that's what we said at the time, too, right? Yeah.
He thought Paul had ace-king. He said, maybe there's a chance he has ace-king. Yeah. Maybe there's a chance he has ace-jack or ace-queen. But he said, okay, well, if he has ace-jack, I have the best hand. If he has ace-queen, I'll get him off that hand. If he has ace-king, I'll get him off the hand. He just really didn't put him on ace-10. He didn't think that he'd raise.
And he would have gotten Paul off of ace-king.
Paul admitted that. Paul said, ace-king, there's no way I call.
Yeah. Nikita's flopped top 2 pair here. King, Jack, 6, 2 hearts, and he's going to bet. He bets 10, and Josh makes a quick call here with a gut shot. Turns a 9, it's a third heart now.
And then you're going to see a lot of that in this game. People calling really when they shouldn't be calling.
Yeah.
And you see one mistake, but getting another one. Just because they ace-queen, they go, it's such a pretty hand, I can't let it go. When the flop comes out King, Jack, 6 with 2 hearts, it's a pretty ugly hand, actually. But I talked to Hob after that hand, actually. We talked about that. And he said, And I even said to him, you know what? If Paul has ace king there and you get him to lay it down, we're saying what a great play.
Yeah.
But because he had ace 10, it makes you look stupid. And he goes, yeah, fine line between looking like a genius and an idiot in poker. But I talked to him about the lesson things. I asked him, I go, do you know anybody that gives lessons? And he said that he was actually in Vegas. And he was talking to some guy, he was playing with some guy that was sitting next to him. And people kept approaching the guy and saying, hey, thanks a lot. And he kept shaking his hand. So Howard finally said, why are these guys thanking you? He goes, oh, I'm their teacher. I'm their poker coach. And he goes, oh. He goes, what do you charge?
Right.
And the guy said he charges $2,000 an hour.
Well, I mean, you mean depending on the level.
$2,000 an hour.
That's a lot. Limped around here. 7, 6, 8 with a couple spades. Baron Wenger Toth actually linked us to his site
I
where
checked it out.
He charged quite a little bit more than we were saying too. And again, there's a couple reasons why. I'll get to it. Josh is let out here with an open-ended straight. Actually, he's got top pair, and Aaron here is going to call with bottom pair and a gut shot here. Again, kind of low-limit mistakes here. Aaron's going to call here with his hand with 2 spades on board. He's got bottom pair and a gut shot to the 9. And Josh is all in blind here. He moves it in here. The turn's a 5. And that's got to be scary if you think, maybe the guy called me with a 9, right?
Well, it's not scary anymore because his money's in the pot already.
Right.
Nothing to worry about here. It's why actually you see, they have if you see somebody who's nervous, if they're bluffing, they're not usually nervous because there's nothing to be nervous about. The money's already in the pot.
Right. Part of the other reason why we say, like I said, say you and I make $125 an hour in the 5-10 game. Just throw that out at you. Part of the reason why you might charge $300 an hour for lessons is because I think the information is that much more valuable than even what your hourly is. Like someone could use that information to beat you out or something like that. I understand it's risk-free, but I actually think I'm going to go with my first inclination saying that it would be about $300 an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny, and obviously Barron was nice enough to send that to us. We have pocket aces here in seat number 5, Keith, and he's going to make it 20 to go.
And he charged like he had a whole little deal. It was interesting.
Yeah.
On his website.
It's very interesting. You should actually check it out. You should check out his website. I think it just is a Baron Wenger Toth.
Well, I'll get the link here in a second.
I'm sure somebody will link it on 2+2, right?
I'll get it here in a second because I'm computer literate like that.
And nobody calls it, and he takes it down. I got to tell you, I'm rooting for Keith tonight. Wearing the Guinness shirt.
So anyways, what else did you talk about with Hoff? Just that?
That was it. We were just talking about that.
And who was the guy? Do we know?
He didn't know me. He said he teaches a lot of celebrities, and he teaches a lot of guys that play in big games. And it's funny. Some people say, well, if you play in a big enough game and you're good enough, why would you need a coach? Tiger Woods has a coach.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods has a golf coach.
And it is. It actually is BaronWengerToth.com, and then you can head over there and look at the coaching section.
Right.
3-way action here. Limped around. Jack 7-5. I got a set of 5s here for Michael. And he slow played 2 pair here before, Dave.
But if he slow played it here, Aaron is open-ended, and Aaron...
Well, he check calls. Well, the turns is 6.
Actually, there's no 5 out there.
Excuse me. You're right. It's not a set. I'm sorry. And he doesn't have pocket 5s either. He's got 4-5. So there you go. We've got 4-5 for Aaron and 6
No, I think Michael did have 5s.
Okay, Michael got out of there.
Yeah, Michael threw it away.
Well, Josh has made trip 6s, and he just calls the bet here by Aaron.
And Aaron has now made a straight.
And now Aaron's made a straight, but Josh has got trip 6s still.
And now Aaron picked up the flush draw as well in the turn. He had a lot of outs.
But just a call here on the river. A bet by Aaron and just a call by Josh, and straight is going to take it down. Yeah, the funny thing about Barron, he has like a whole little thing with live coaching where he's like, it's almost like I think he says it's $750, but it's almost for the day at Foxwoods.
Now, I was going to read this first part, and now Barron obviously did not, Barron obviously being a really nice guy, he actually didn't want to kind of plug his own site, but we're going to plug it for him. And
hopefully he won't mind.
Right. The one thing he said here, he actually wrote, he goes, due to my strategy articles on 2+2 Gut Shot and other sites, along with my online presence in various forums, people have approached me about poker coaching.
Right.
At first, I dealt with each person on a case-by-case basis, but now I have 2-tiered plan to meet most needs. One is online coaching, and one is live coaching. And if we get a second, we'll actually go into it for a second.
Josh is going to raise it up here. He's got ace-jack off suit. And the funniest thing is, for the first 6 months that No Limit was spread in this casino, this was the big game, Dave. The 200. There was no other game.
Right.
Then the 5-10 came along, and then the 3-5 came along last March, I think it was.
The 3-5 game was really a stroke of genius. They needed some sort of bridge between these two games, obviously.
7-6-6 here.
Same flop. Almost.
Josh was the pre-flop raiser, and he's going to move all in here. And for Michael, with the all-in and the dead money, I think it's an easy call.
Oh,
he's got
he's
overcards
got overcards
and
and spades. He's a favorite here. Even though he's behind, he's a favorite.
Yeah.
And we're going to see pretty much a coin flip here.
Turns a 4. River's an ace, and King-Queen does not get there,
No.
so Ace-Jack is going to take it out. You know, it's funny, because I think when we do these shows, I mean, this game is more about fundamentals, but talking to the experts out there in the audience, they understand the differences between this game and Deep Stacked. This game, it is actually proper to play it tricky and do things to manipulate the pot because you don't need to build the pot because everyone is so inherently short stacked.
Right.
In cases when you're not deep.
Right. Obviously, if you were to make the analogy and think that, let's say the 5-10 game,
Yeah.
there is turn play and river play. Now, this game is essentially a pre-flop game and a post-flop game. By the time the turn comes,
Yeah.
most of the money is usually already in.
Right.
And like you were saying, I mean, you obviously can manipulate and play it tricky and try to get your opponent's entire stack without having to build a pot.
4-way action here. So that hand I was telling you about, you think that's a good one for the video blog next week? This afternoon?
Yeah, it's a great hand.
Yeah. All right. Then I won't get into the specifics of the hand. King
Tease
4-8.
everybody, why
Yeah.
don't you? Nobody's got an ace. Nobody's got a king. Pocket tens are still in the lead here. Hard for him to know that, though. It's getting uglier and uglier for Dan. And nobody's going to take a shot at it. And look at that.
Michael Rivers is set here in C2.
The funniest thing, you'd never think the deuce. You go, okay, well, that's a safe card.
I mean, that's a great hand. But the thing is, I don't even know if he can get paid off here.
No, I don't think he will get paid off. Although, at this
Although
point,
if you're
though,
Dan,
it's interesting. You go, wait a second. This guy was
Yeah.
in the cutoff seat, and he didn't bet a king on the flop. He
Right.
didn't bet an ace on the turn.
it wouldn't be shocking if you called with pocket tens there.
I might call with tens,
Yeah.
thinking the guy's betting an 8. Right? You might just do that.
You know, I got into another, and like I said, I'm not going to go into the specifics of the hand, but I got into kind of another sticky situation. This time it ended up for the better with a set, Dave.
Yeah, you keep flopping sets,
Yeah.
and
Craziness keeps happening
Right,
on the
exactly.
board. I actually had my best day ever today.
nice way to start June off, huh?
I played 2 hours in the 5-10 game, and I won almost $6,000.
Wow, that's a pretty good hourly rate.
2 hours. 3 big hands in like right in a row, Dave.
That's all it
I was
takes.
still stacking my chips, and I got involved in another, and so on and so on.
If you think about what a good month is,
Yeah.
a good month is really avoiding some sticky situations and winning, say, 8 or 9 big hands. Like you saw, you won 3 big hands today.
Yeah.
And you had a great day.
Right.
So if you can have maybe 9 like that, well, suddenly that's a good month. 10, that's a good month, right? You know, as long as you avoid those sticky situations where you lose too much money.
Button moves over here to seat 5.
It's like summer has come early here in Burbank, huh? 90 degrees in LA today. Is that hot by you or no?
It wasn't, it doesn't get that high. It's probably maybe 10 degrees cooler where I am.
Man, 90.
Because I live in the
crazy.
nice area of LA. King Queen 7 here with a couple of diamonds. Lived around.
You live with like the Hasidic Jews.
Over in West LA, Beverly Hills, yeah.
Yeah.
Big Hasidic.
You live like Beverly Hills adjacent. Come on.
Checked around here and there's a flush. Flush here on the turn. Oh, you
Yeah.
know the differences.
Of course it's different. Now, interestingly enough, seat number 1 has got 10 of diamonds in his hand. He's got pocket tens. He's open-ended with a flush draw. And if Josh doesn't play this hard...
Josh checked the Josh checked the flush.
Are
He
you
checked the main
kidding?
flush. And the river now
wow,
is
the
a 10.
10. And Dennis has made a set of tens. And
But I mean, it's just a bluff catcher.
Now,
Now, with a 9 or an
Aaron-
ace would have a straight.
But Aaron has got a straight.
Yeah.
Aaron's got the straight. Dennis has got a set of tens. And Josh has got the flush. And is Josh going to put any money in the pot?
No, Dan is going to come out and bet on the bottom end of the straight. Wow.
Wow, that's... And now he's
And
going
now
to
it's a
raise.
little min raise.
60.
Makes it 60. And Dan is not going to call here. Dennis is giving a grin here. He's made this set on the river. I mean, you'd figure if a guy was slow playing a flush, it would have been the nut flush here. 2-3 of diamonds.
Yeah.
Dan's out of there.
Amazing, too. One of the reasons you would not want to slow play a flush there is if somebody actually had either a big diamond in their hand or had something like King Jack. Well, now the 10
Right.
comes in the river, and somebody with 2 pair can't even call you.
Right. Action killer. You know, last night I had TiVo'd the World Poker Tour, and about 15 minutes into the show, they went into this bad beat that Cheryl Hines got, and it clicked over to a shot of Negreanu and Cheryl going, yay, yay, oh, and then you're here like this. They're like, oh, and you're like, yeah!
I don't think I ever look like that. There's no chance.
You're wiggling around like,
I might have wiggled, I might have been cheering, but I looked cooler than that. I know it.
oh, it was hilarious. It was only kind of half the side of you, and then you turned to the camera. Got a raise here by C2 with jacks. And pocket threes here, Raphael is called. And how about top full house here for Michael? And he checks. Jack, 7-7. Now, Raphael, I think I've played with him in the past.
Yeah. Now, this is a different case. Now, we always say we don't like slow playing, but in this game, you got to look at it and go, well,
Yeah.
Raphael only has $260.
Right.
I've got to try to finagle a way for me to get the most money possible out of it.
Yeah.
You really want him to commit himself. There's no rush to build this pot up, right?
Right.
Because you have 2 more streets to get it in. And now this pot is already going to be about $120, $130, and you're building it slowly, no rush.
And look at
that!
this! Wow, he checked blind, and Raphael has hit his full house on the turn. All the money's going in here.
I tell you, it's amazing. We're in complete sync.
And the thing here is, too, you know that someone might do this with an overpair. I like the bet by Raphael. You keep betting it, and he's hit a set, and Michael is still going to just smooth call.
Oh, why not? I
yeah.
don't mind smooth calling you. There's no rush.
Oh, and the river is a 7 here, and the threes get counterfeited, Dave.
Yeah, the 3 is now garbage.
The threes are garbage. He can't be an overpair now.
Yeah, but you know what, though? At this point, I'm not sure if he can get away from it. I don't mind the way... in this game, I really don't mind the way Michael played this hand.
And Raphael, he knows it now. I mean, I think the guy might have had an overpair, and now Raphael thinks, he thinks he has an overpair, and he shows Brian the threes. Wow.
Yeah. You got a boat on the river, too. He goes, man, you got lucky. The 7 saved you money. That's the only card in that. That and the Jack. Actually, a Jack would have. Maybe a Jack would have saved him money as well. That's pretty much it. I swear. If you and I were girls, we would definitely have our period at the same time. Did our first chip count?
First chip count on the night here.
3,300 on the table. Michael's got him covered with 1,200. Aaron in second, 400. Keith is bringing up the rear with only $140. Let's see how they're doing. No surprise, Michael's our leader. He's up $800. Obviously a very good day for a $200 buy-in game. Raphael, Josh, and Dan all down. Raphael down a lot of money. He's down $540. And he's lucky he just didn't lose another $150 there.
Yeah, it's going to get limped around here.
We got 4 players.
4-way action. Ace, Queen, 10. And 2 pair here for,
How about a flush for Aaron?
Yeah, how about a flop flush? Not 2 pair, and Aaron does not bet.
Oh, now Michael's got trips.
Yeah, Michael's got trip queens now. And Michael's going to bet here. Aaron did not bet the flop flush. He's got the 3rd nut flush here.
Now, I don't mind slow playing your hand a little bit, but you got to realize how many cards can come off that kill your action. If a king, a jack, a club, in this case another queen, I mean, a lot of hands can kill your action. He's just going to keep calling. And in this case, he's playing it wrong because he has $400.
Yeah.
You need to build the pot a little bit.
River's a 7 here.
And Michael will probably bet a little bit for value. And at this point, can you even raise it?
I think, well, I think you can raise. Well, I mean, I don't know what really beat you out there, Dave. I mean,
Oh, full house.
yeah, but yeah, he's gonna raise it up here. This just smells.
But you realize that the guy can't. See, you can only raise it like another $50, and you'll probably get calls.
But you actually might not. I mean, if you've got Queen 9 here, unless this guy is on a total stone cold bluff, there's nothing you can beat.
No, there's nothing at all.
I mean, it just smells like a flop flush to me here.
I mean, you're probably putting your money in at best chopping it up because your 9 does not. Well, your 9 plays, but barely. And actually, no, your 9 does not play. I'm sorry. He's tripped queens with an ace and a 10.
But remember, you got to look at your opponent and say, would this guy, after I check the flop, would he raise
with Queen 5?
Yeah, would he call with the queen and now just raise on the river after I might have flopped the flush?
He might have. He might. I mean, you never know in this game.
So the email here from Paul Hempseed came right before the show started. He said, I don't get to hear the show live, but I was just listening to last night's show, and he was ecstatic that he was in the lead for the hand show on the video blog, and we did do your hand, Paul, this afternoon.
Now, I just want to give some people updates. We're going to continue to do the video the vlog, where we basically analyze and dissect our hands and your hands if you send them in. But if you send in your hand, give us as much information, the more information that you give us, and I mean anything about the players involved, make sure that the pot size is right, the bets are right. If you give us, the more information you give us, the better we can analyze the hand.
And it's going to be kind of like a cataloging format, I want to say, right? Oh, it's going to switch. So I'm getting work.
Right.
So we're going to archive. I was just wondering, are all the video blogs going to be up there available, or are they going to move over to the archives? 1 month will be available at a time to non-subscribers.
Nice flop here for Josh. Josh has got a bottom set of deuces, and he checks it.
How many sets are we going to see here?
Yeah, now Michael's going to bet with absolutely nothing. Michael's got king 9. And
Josh just check calls here.
Yep. Actually, I'm sorry, that was Aaron, and Aaron bet with a weak ace.
Yeah, he's got a weak ace, Steve.
And you imagine this will probably go, well, you never know in this game. Check, and he's going to bet again.
Well, he's going to bet again.
And are you going to raise this now?
Wow, at this point, if I'm
calls.
surprised. Because if a diamond comes, and the river's a diamond, now if you lead out, and now it might just go check, check, and there's the problem with it right there. You've got to get your money in with that hand.
Yeah.
When Aaron made a $75 bet, seat 9 only had like 75 left, Dave. You got to just put it in right there. There's too many stuff that will kill all the action. And there it is.
And you don't mind the way Aaron played the hand. He bet once, he bet a second time.
Yeah.
And then he said, okay, I'm going to check it down. There's no way I can beat anything here.
I think he was going to check it down on the river, too. He made a turn bet to bet off of diamonds, and then you take a
free
showdown.
showdown, right.
Yeah.
And saying no diamond, no 10, and the perfect card was 10 of diamonds. Imagine that.
And he was saying no diamond or no 10. And actually, the diamond or the 10 actually saved him money. Interesting email here from Jared Pondelik, and that's kind of what Hob was saying to me. And he was saying here, and I'll read the email real quick. He says, Hey, Dave and Bart, the whole discussion on how much to charge for poker lessons should be treated just like any other service business. And I'll finish the email in a second after we get this hand.
King 7-7 here. Whole lot of nothing. Keep going.
Okay. You don't sell a service or a product for as much as it takes you to make it, which would be, in your case, your hourly rate of what you could make at the table. Also, you have to consider the amount of money and time it took you to learn the skills you are giving away. You sell your service for a profit, and if it's an extremely valuable commodity, your price would go up. It's just like any other business venture. Sincerely, Jerry Pondlik. And that's what Hobbs' point was also.
Yeah.
He said, Dave, how many thousands of dollars did it cost you to learn learn to play poker the way you play?
Right.
And I go, now you start thinking about that. I go, man, it cost me a lot. It's almost like if you talk to good players, almost every good player, Howard Lederer, Phil Gordon, they all say, I probably blew $25,000 just learning how to play poker. It's almost like going to school.
Well, so that you're agreeing with me, because I thought you said that the lesson should only be right at where your hourly is.
I didn't know. The guy came to me. I'd never offered lessons before.
Right.
I really didn't know, which is one of the reasons why I went on the show and asked. I didn't know. But after hearing Hob and after checking out Baron Vangertoth's website, I've obviously been a little more informed, and the more I think about it, the more it does make sense.
limped around here, and we're going to see three-way action, Dave. Jack 6-6 here, and again, it's a whole lot of nothing. Everyone's missed. Again, I never knew. Anyone out there maybe can help us out. How much did Annie Duke and Amir Vahidi charge Ben Affleck?
They were charging him thousands.
I mean, he would fly them into like places.
Yeah, he was charging
crazy.
thousands of dollars.
Like something like, okay, I'll fly you in here. If you're in here for like one day or for the weekend, I'll give you $20,000, $30,000, $40,000.
I'm sure it's a
like
lot
that.
of money.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a lot.
Brian's saying you heard 20,000.
I mean, there's
Probably
also
for a
a
day or
Annie
two or
Duke
something
used to
like
talk about how the lessons would actually occur while they were all playing cash games together. So not only was he paying them to teach, they were taking his money during the game as well. But the guy makes like, what, $12 million a movie?
Right.
I don't think he's crying.
How's that sugar-free Red Bull over there, Ronnie? Ronnie, of course, going with the he's off sugar. To taste a little different.
How long do you think that's going to last?
I mean, the
4
amount of
days?
sugar that he eats in here during the show is absolutely...
He might have withdrawals.
6 players.
Six-way action. Limped around, Jack 3 deuce here.
Yeah, seat number 6 has got top pair. That's the only hand not up there. That's Dan's hand.
Yeah, he's going to come up and bet here. Bets 30.
Jack 3 deuce flop. 2 clubs. There it is.
Hey, yeah, there it is, Dan.
Dan puts his hand up there. Now I wanted to
We
read.
know Dan from Stud High Low, of course.
Yeah. Now I wanted to read through now. Poker coaching by Baron Wenger Toth. He also says now his online coaching, he charges $250. And he basically what he does, and I'm going to paraphrase this. You can check out his website if you want to. Is basically he will watch you play on your site of choice, and you'll talk to him via either like AOLIM or Yahoo Messenger or on the phone. Talk about the hands that you're playing, how you play them, how you should be playing them, and so forth. And then afterwards, they have a follow-up session, and that is like pretty much online coaching, which he charges $250.
And I assume you probably can email him like a text of the hand histories.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Something like that.
And then obviously for live coaching, which is where he says, well, schedule a day that works for you at Foxwoods. And he actually buys them lunch. Look at that. And he charges $750 for live coaching, where pretty much he plays with them all afternoon and then has a follow-up session with them as well.
I think that maybe Walt brought this one in for a raise.
Yeah, he did.
With Ace-King, and he's going to check here on a ragged board. Now, two players both have overpairs. They smooth call with 10s and 8s. Michael's going to bet 75. Now, what is Aaron going to do?
Now, this is always the amateur mistake. You saw Aaron flop a flush before,
right,
and he won the minimum. Now, with an overpair, is he going to lose the maximum?
Right.
We always see those kind of mistakes.
This is really where you see this happen, where a guy in this is why, like...
He looks like he's throwing it away.
Oh, it's a good laydown. He gets rid of it.
Wow.
It's hell of just an open laydown. But what I was going to say, Dave, is that, in this game, it's almost never...
Look at the turn. The turn was a 10. The river was an 8.
Wow, all kinds of sets tonight. And probably Michael would have called the turn, and then the river was an 8. And it probably, right?
Yeah.
Michael probably would have called the turn. In this game, I think it's almost never proper, in specific situations, to fold like aces or kings, because on a board like that, a guy might raise you all in thinking he's got pocket 8s or pocket 9s, which are the nuts.
Oh,
in a deeper game, people, understand the value of the hands more.
Give Aaron credit for getting rid of 8s.
Right.
But we see people, pocket jacks in this game
are
are the nuts.
Yeah.
You almost never see somebody laying down jacks or queens pre-flop.
And if they're deep, they get 500, 600 deep, they'll commit all their money to a ragged board with jacks, thinking like that is...
They might even commit all their money pre-flop with jacks or queens.
Right.
Well, there's another set for us.
This is unbelievable. Raphael's got a set of 4s here. Let's see how he plays it. He's on the button. Well, remember, Raphael, I've seen this guy play. He's a player. He bets here on the button. From what I remember, I think he might be one of the strongest players at the
Really?
table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's the only guy who's down a lot, so you wonder...
Well, remember, we've seen...
yeah. Obviously, anybody can lose on any given night.
Yeah.
I think this would be my lesson. Lesson number 1 would be play pocket pairs and flop a set.
Yeah.
Then proceed.
I actually started a thread over in the World Poker Tour section at 2+2 last night. It was titled WPT Invitational Bad Beat Cheryl Hines. And I went on to say here, I wrote it out. We get a raise here. I'll get to it in a second. Raise here by Raphael with ace-king. Raised by seat 9 and a re-raise here by Raphael. And Josh is going to call the re-raise with 5-3 of hearts out of position here.
And the flop misses both players, and is Josh going to try to represent a pocket pair here? If you're Raphael, you're probably going to bet this, I'd assume, and he is. Puts a continuation bet out there.
And he's going to take it down there. I said, anybody see the WPT Invitational last night, about 20 minutes into the show? Dave Tuckman gives Cheryl Hines a brutal beat and then bobs his body around wildly, like the classless beast that he is.
Yeah. I'm still wondering if I resembled anything like that. Have you ever seen the show, So You Think You Can Dance?
What? No, I did see the show. That's what I'm saying last night.
No, the show, So You Think You Can Dance, the reality dance show.
Oh,
I'm thinking...
Is that like Dancing Dancing with the Stars, or is it a different show?
Sure, same difference.
Yeah. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
I'm thinking you've got a future there. Bart Hanson, Dancing with the Stars. I would pay to see that, wouldn't you?
I think C2 is complaining about the price of the archives. 10-5-8 here with a couple of spades. It's only $14.95 a month.
Okay, now that I'm finding out how much money lessons cost,
I know.
I'm thinking $14.95.
Right.
We're giving away information on a nightly basis for $14.95 a month. What are you kidding me?
Michael swapped 2 pairs. He's got top and bottom here on a 3-flush board. I mean, it's not even close.
What do you think? I'm just curious. What do you think Barry Greenstein would charge for 6 hours of commentary? I mean, Barry Greenstein would probably charge somewhere in the neighborhood of, what, $5,000 an hour? $10,000 an hour?
And we have it here. It's in the
6
archives.
hours,
Right.
Barry Greenstein.
Right.
It always amazes me. You always wonder where a poker player is. You can kind of tell where their priorities are. If they're the kind of person who won't spend $19.95 on a good book, or they won't spend $14.95 on archives, or something like that. I mean, if you're a serious poker player, you've got to spend that money for a book. You've got to spend money on things that make sense.
Ray, take care of that guy over there in C2. Limped around her.
I mean, I want to get into the conversation you had with Paul and his suggestion.
Right.
I'd love to get to ask this hand. Nice hand for Rick here. He's open-ended. It's a rainbow board, plus he has backdoor hearts. And it's a hand that he can play hard, especially he's on the button. That's the kind of hand you want when you're on the button. You can manipulate it. You can raise it if you want to. You can take the free card.
Rick
a lot of
calls.
different things you can do here.
Well, the turn's an ace. Is that a card you can use as a scare card? Because it would be an over card to top pair on the board here.
In a game like this, I'm not really looking to outplay players.
Right.
I just want to hit my hands and then bet him for value.
And
They're gonna pay me off.
he takes the card.
I have no problem with that.
And the river here is a 10. Now, Rick is backed into a pair now.
But
He
Josh
might not
got
need
two
to
pair.
bet it. And Josh checked it.
Yeah, he's
checked on
got
the river.
Wow, really?
And Rick checked behind him.
How do you check 2 pair there?
I don't think Rick is going to call the river bet, Dave.
How do you know that?
No, I'm not saying
What are
that.
you just gonna? I love those guys that go, I'm not gonna bet the river ever because I know this guy's not gonna call me.
I'm not saying that he definitely should have bet the river. I'm
Oh,
saying
okay.
if he bet, I don't think River was going to call.
No,
Just 'cause he
probably
backed
not.
into it
Right.
times.
Okay. Anyway, this conversation you had with Paul. Now, Paul, this is not the seasoned turkey we see on the show. This is a different Paul that plays in the bigger games
And he
sometimes.
has been on the show like way back when. I remember he got involved with the hand against.
And he is one of the tightest.
How about this memory?
Actually, I want to say he's one of the tightest players out there.
He got involved in the hand and lost a lot of money with King Queen versus Ace Queen against that guy who was a Hispanic gentleman.
Francisco?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ace Queen against King Queen.
What is
I
that,
don't even know
back
if you were in the
last
booth.
April?
Yeah, it could have been like over a year ago.
Okay.
I mean, he's been on the show a couple times. Heads up here. 6-3 against Ace Jack of Diamonds.
And Josh, once again, in there with kind of really a pretty questionable holding out of
Yeah,
position.
he called the raise there in the blind.
And I got to tell you, if you're Aaron here, I like my hand. There's 2 pair on the board. I think my ace high is probably good. I'm going to bet it.
And he bets 30 here.
I don't think Josh has got any piece of that.
There's actually no way that Josh can win the hand. He can only chop with an ace coming on the river.
Right.
Any
Actually,
of his
what does an
pairs
ace
would
do?
be
An
no
ace
good.
doesn't win it.
Well, it would chop it. It would
No,
chop.
Aaron would have aces up.
Oh, you're right. Well, how would they chop? How would
A 9.
A 9. Yeah.
Or 7.
Yeah, you're right.
A 9 or 7, that's
Yeah.
it. But sometimes I make that mistake, too. That happens all the time. You see, you go, I need an ace.
Right,
No,
right.
no, an ace is no good. Okay, what do I need?
So, yeah, he said, it was one of the first times he's watched the show, and he said he really liked it, but he said the problem that he had with it was that we gave away too much information. And the suggestion he said was that we should have a version of Live at the Bike where we just call all the action, and then a version that costs money where we analyze the action. Interestingly enough.
Right. He was saying basically, I guess, on the whole lesson thing, he was saying that
Yeah.
we were giving away too much information for
Right.
free.
Right. Limped around here once again. 5-way action.
And the flop is 10-10-9. Couple of clubs out there. Now, Michael has got 2 pair, and he's going to put some money in the pot. And right now, with Michael betting, what do you think Michael's got? Even without knowing what he has, you'd probably put him on a 9 because he's betting his hand. If he had a 10, he'd probably check it. Slow play it. Maybe he has a flush draw. Maybe he's got a 9, one of those two. Once again, we're live at the bike. I'm David Tuckman here with Bart Hanson. We're playing $200 No Limit Hold'em. Blinds are 3 and 5 in this game.
Just like Aaron is out
You know, it's
there.
funny, too. Sometimes you get people that kind of gripe, and I never like to say, hey, 'cause I don't know how everybody else's financial situation is. But to me, if you're playing in a game like this where you can easily win $500 or lose $500 in a given day, I would imagine a subscription to the archives that would only help your game. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood from 40 to 50% at least. I would imagine it's well worth the $14.95 investment.
Right.
And rest assured, we get none of that.
I'm a little, I'm surprised that Rick hasn't turned into a chicken kebab over there in seat 7. That's all the guy eats.
Ace, deuce, deuce
Yeah.
out there. Yeah, Raphael's got the best hand here. He's got aces up with a 9 kicker.
Gets checked around here. The turn's a 4.
9 still plays. And Raphael's going to put some money in the pot, and Michael's going to call him. The river's a 6, and the 9 still plays.
Yes, it does.
And you wonder, is Raphael going to? No, he's not going to put any money in the pot there. And I got to tell you, if I have a 9 there, I might bet it. Putting my opponent specifically on, like ace 3, ace 5, ace 7, or ace 8. Because he just checked it, then he checked again, he called. I mean, he wasn't really showing much strength at all. And you figure if he had a bigger ace than that, like ace jack or ace queen, he probably would have fired in at some point.
It's funny. I was just laughing, thinking of the story I told you today about the hand I played this afternoon. And I'm not going to go into the hand, but the funniest thing on the river, Dave, is a guy throws a blocker bet out at me on the river. The pot is $2,500, and he bets $10 on the river. A $10 blocker bet. And I had 600 left.
Into a $2,400 pot?
$2,500 pot.
It didn't. You mean the $10 bet didn't scare you? A lot of Broadway out there. And we're going to see this 3 ways. Pot's $50. Ace 9, 5. Couple of hearts out there, and Josh has outflopped them all.
Ace 10 of diamonds here. He's got top pair.
Yeah, he's obviously in very good shape here.
Now, I believe that Rick was the pre-flop raiser. So Rick is going to continuation bet. And Josh beats him into the pot here.
Yeah, and you can see in this case, Josh is obviously going to win this hand. Well, not necessarily, but probably.
Yeah, Rick would need to catch a queen here.
But if Rick had ace queen or ace king, you know he's going to get all of Josh's money.
Rick going to bet here again?
Really? Wow.
Well, I think he's trying to figure out if this guy has a heart. And the guy just calls again here. And I assume at this point Rick is going to shut down unless he hits the queen. Well, it's a third heart. Now Rick can't beat anything.
Yeah. And Rick's pretty much got it. He's almost got nut no pair. King queen is the nut no pair. So, what do you think this guy's calling you with?
I mean, if he was calling with the flush draw, he made it. And this guy's going to check behind him, I assume. Just behind there.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, Rick is really, say, what we call taggy. He is the type of guy. I've seen him. Sometimes it surprised me. You talk about raising it up in early position with like ace king or ace queen, get 5 or 6 callers, and the flop comes out rags. He's got ace king of diamonds, and the flop comes 7 deuce 3 with 2 clubs. He'll fire in there from up front. You know, I think his thing is that he plays it so tight that when he's in the hand, he needs to play aggressive,
Right.
which is usually the best
Well,
combination.
yeah, it is. I mean, tight pre-flop, aggressive on the flop.
Right.
He's, obviously, in this game, though, you've got to realize that players might call you with anything.
Right.
And you really have no idea where you're at.
You're not really trying to bluff people out in this game. You are trying to value bet them and make the most out of your hands.
I mean, the flop comes out 7-deuce-3 with 2 clubs. You bet with ace king of diamonds. Somebody might call you with ace jack of hearts.
Right.
And you have
Yeah.
no idea. You go,
Yeah.
well, that doesn't help me.
Yeah. I mean, I actually saw Rick fire into 3 or 4 people on Tuesday with nothing. You know, continuation there.
Baron Vanger Toth came up with a great line for Live at the Bike. I think we should actually make this a T-shirt. Live at the Bike, paying for drinks and strippers, one show at a time.
Yeah, there you go. We had a raise here by seat 1, Dennis, and Michael has re-raised him with ace queen. It's kind of a mini re-raise here.
Well, if it's a mini re-raise, you probably can call it, because you're automatically getting about a little over 3-1. Just proceed with caution.
Jack 6-8 here, or Jack 6-4. Ace queen is in the lead. Both players miss.
I mean, ace-8 of clubs really can't be more than a 2-1 dog unless you're up against aces.
Yeah.
Even against kings, you're only a 2-1 dog.
Again, the problem with the hand, though, and people don't understand, is sometimes we talk about ace rag. It is a strong enough hand where if you do flop an ace, you're going to win. But remember, you're not trying to win out of position. You don't want to get mixed up. And the problem with it is you are going to win a small pot, but the times that you're behind, you're going to lose a big one if you continue on. So
Definitely.
that's the
It's
problem.
one of those things where, yeah, it's one of the reasons you and I usually don't play those hands, because I hate playing a hand where I don't know what I'm rooting for. You know what I mean? If I raise with ace-8 and I get called, or if I'm calling a raise with a hand like ace-8, I've got to start looking at it going, am I rooting for an 8? Am I rooting for an ace? What do I want to hit? Now, obviously, 2 pair or trips is good.
You know, the funny thing, more and more I think about it, Dave, you know, with Hav, with his
Yes.
play last night. We'll get to it in a second here. Queen, Jack, 7. You know, he says, I'm trying to get Paul off of ace-king or ace-queen. And if we talk about how the hand played out,
Seat number 5 here, Keith, by the way, has the best hand.
Yeah,
He's
he's
got
got
ace-jack.
ace-jack.
He's got 3rd pair now, but Dan and Rick are actually drawing. Well, no, Rick's got a pair of 7s. And Keith's going to win this. And this might just get checked around.
so let give you a little bit of background if anyone missed Wednesday's
Well,
show.
and-
Rick's going to bet. That's $5. Quick call here by Keith.
It's an odd bet by Rick. It really is. Because he doesn't have the
Wow, and
8.
Dan overcalls with an 8.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Now, we like Rick's game, but I just don't understand the bet there. You're betting with 5-7. What are you going to get called by that you can beat? Or what are you going to get somebody off of?
Right.
I mean, you really think at this point for $5 you're going to get a guy off of a jack, a queen, a king, or an 8? I just don't. I don't understand that play at all.
So I want to give you background.
Anyway, go ahead.
If anybody missed the show last night, basically Paul was really opening his game up, our seasoned turkey. He was almost playing it like laggy. Where
Right.
The table was tight. He was raising with a lot of hands. He brought it in for a raise with ace-10 in late position. Hob called him with ace-queen. The flop came ace-10, I think it was rad.
Ace-10-6.
Ace-10-6. Hob check-raised Paul on the flop.
Ace-10-6 with 2 hearts, by the way.
Hob check-raised Paul on the flop, and Paul called, and then Hob led into the turn, and now Paul raised. Would Paul really play ace-king that way? Wouldn't it be just kind of a crying call there on the turn?
No, not necessarily.
Would he call the check raise, number 1 by Hob, and then raise the turn with ace-king? I mean, it's almost like an overplay. Specifically against
He
Hob.
might just smooth call the turn, you mean?
Specifically against Hob. Now, Keith is gonna re-raise here. We had a raise by Raphael, and Keith's come over the top with queens, and I think Raphael is an easy laydown for him.
Yeah, I think you and I both agree that Hob was actually, he had a wrong read, obviously.
I just think
he
I just don't
overplayed
think that
ace-queen
Paul,
there.
Paul is. I mean,
Do you think, right, you
I don't
really
even
think,
know if Paul calls the flop with ace-king. I mean, if Paul's
Really?
just I'm stretching a little bit here.
Come on.
If he's got ace-king and Hob check raises him, Hob. If Paul calls, he's going to proceed with caution.
No,
I
the
don't
game was
s-
only like 5-handed, too.
No, I understand. But I don't see him necessarily raising the turn there.
Yeah, he might not raise a turn with
Yeah,
ace-king.
yeah.
He's definitely not raising the turn with ace-jack.
No.
He's definitely not raising
Or
the turn with
ace-queen.
ace-queen.
Yeah, so that's why the thinking is.
Now, 5-handed, he might raise that turn with ace-king. There's a chance.
Yeah, but at that time, weren't we playing full ring, though, at that time? Remember, it was towards the
I
end.
don't know, maybe somebody can check
I
out the
think
archives.
it was full ring. It wasn't during that time of being 5-handed. 5-way action here. Limped around.
No, it definitely was a peculiar play by Hob. But I guess his read was he thought he had ace-king and he thought he can get him off it. And Paul even said, if I had ace-king, I'm throwing it away. But I see where you're going, though. Does it make sense that Paul would have ace-king there?
We had a bet here by Dennis with Jack 10, and Josh is called here with ace-queen. Again, he's got a gut shot to the 10. Dennis is going to bet here again.
I think Hob might have been down a little bit last night. And I don't mind the check raising the flop. And then when he bets into on the turn, that's a fine play, too. And obviously when Paul raises you there, you need to release ace-queen.
Right.
And I think at that point, Hob probably got a little desperate and said, no, I'm going to see if I can win this anyway.
Right.
Kind of force it, you know? It's like a little 1-year-old trying to force a circle into a square. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I'm going to make this.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, that would be very, very tight laydown for Paul not to get involved with ace-king there, just to Hobbs check raise. Because remember, Paul was opening his game out. He was playing more like Mike.
Right. Good chance he just, and a good chance he would just smooth call the turn.
He's going to proceed.
Definitely. I mean, I think losing a couple $1,000 and Hob was already down about $3,000 or $4,000 before that hand started. I think that definitely affected his judgment. And I think he overplayed the hand because of
Although
that.
the funny thing is you can pull, like, a trick out of people who do it in limit hold'em, Dave, where I think that you can raise on the turn, sometimes with a hand like that. Say you think Hob might have the same hand. Raise on the turn to get fold equity, and then take a free showdown on the river.
Definitely.
Min raise on the turn and take a free showdown on the river.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're
going to
call the river anyways, right?
Right, and you kind of control, in a weird way, you almost control pot size
by raising the turn.
Because you're not faced like a $2,500 bet on the river.
Right.
Yeah. Now, Walt has bet this. Actually, I'm sorry. Josh bet it, and Walt called, and Walt is way ahead here. And now Josh is going to check it, and Walt's going to bet it.
I don't think Josh is going anywhere here. And I got to tell you, if the river here is a blank, I think Walt needs to value bet this.
Definitely. Not even a question. I still value bet it. Oh, well, it is a diamond and then a 10.
It's a third diamond, it's a 10. Remember, he would check 2 pair to me here, too, Dave. Queen 10, because it is a third diamond.
You're right. You might.
Yeah. And Walt's going to check. But say that river paired
a deuce or 6.
Man, if that river paired deuce or 6, I think with Walt, I think you move all in there with 100 left.
Definitely.
With one pair. I mean, I was telling you again about a hand where I basically ended up with a flush at the end of the hand, but that's not the point. I knew the player so well, I won a $5,000 pot today with ace 10, with a pair of 10s with an ace kicker, because I knew the guy had a 10 with a weaker kicker, and he's the type of guy that will not lay down top pair, ever.
Right.
And you run into some of those guys at the bigger games.
Hey, you love those guys.
Yeah.
Well, we always say no limit hold 'em. It's a game of mistakes, and the better players take advantage, capitalize on other players' mistakes, and then make fewer ones. And this is going to get folded around, and I think they're going to chop it up.
Italian Tony's really got the best of me this month, Dave.
And I'm glad he does.
Yeah. This is a guy, I don't know, have we ever had Matt in the game before?
No, he's never played.
Yeah. Butt moves over here to seat 1.
And by the way, I actually want to give props to our archive department. Because if you're not subscribing...
Yeah, those guys down there, man, down the hall, they do a good job.
They really do a great job. If you have checked out the archives lately, because I checked them out last night, I was just kind of going through them, they are organized perfectly. It is so easy to find the exact game that you want to find, where you want to find it, and they're up almost immediately. It really is fabulous.
5-way action here. And flop has come out here, king 5-3 with a couple of diamonds. Gets checked around to Dennis. And he's going to bet here with bottom pair. And he's going to take it down there. He had the best hand. Yeah, I saw that comment here by Maria Carrillo about you're under the gun. I didn't actually get a chance to read the last 2 under the guns. Did you whine about like your bad beats or something this month?
Why don't you read them first, and then we'll talk about it.
You were having trouble this month. I really was surprised that I didn't think I was going to have a positive month, but now I am with how this week has gone. Isn't that crazy? First 4 weeks of the month I was down.
No limit hold'em. It's all about just a few hands.
Yeah.
You win a couple of good hands here and a couple of good hands there, and suddenly before you know it, at the levels you play, you can easily win $8,000 in just 6-7 good hands.
Dennis raised here with ace-king suited, and Josh has kind of fallen into this trap where he's calling out of position with very speculative hands. He checks and folds here.
And he does not have enough money to be calling with these kind of hands.
And again, also, is he going to continue is he going to lose the stack if a jack falls there? If the guy hadn't dominated, or if he had no river.
Now, I'm just checking out some old emails that we got during our replays. Now, if you miss any of our shows, we do a live load. You can actually watch this show. Starts again at 11 p.m. Pacific time, and then every 3 hours until tomorrow at 5 p.m. We also replay the entire week on Sundays. Now, obviously, we get some emails while we're not here. I'm just kind of looking through them. Thank you for the email from Michael Sullivan.
A couple of queens here on the button. And a couple of jacks here for seat number 8. But I think that Walt just limped in with jacks. We got a raise by seat 9 with 7-8 suited.
Actually, he hasn't limped. He definitely hasn't limped.
For Walt?
No, actually, you're right. Josh raised.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, you're right.
It looked like the money was in front of him. That's why I thought he...
And seat 3 is going to call here with king 10 of spades.
And Raphael's going to raise this.
Yeah.
And now, what do you do if you're Walt?
You've got a raiser, a call, and now a re-raiser on the button.
I mean, I think Walt is really in...
But again, I know Raphael. I think he's a pretty good player, and I think Walt knows him as well. And look at it. He just folds it like it's nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice laydown.
Yeah.
Really a nice laydown.
And Josh calls.
And Josh calls. Josh has put about 45% of his money in the pot with a hand as weak as 7-8 of clubs.
And Byron is called the re-raise with king 10 of spades, too. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a $200 game.
Well, not a terrible flop for 7-8 of clubs.
He's got a gut shot. He's got middle pair. And look at Byron. He's got overcards and a spade draw with king 10.
If you're Josh, though, I mean, I'm assuming Josh is going to call all his money off. Why wouldn't he just push?
Get some
Right?
fold equity.
Well, I mean, obviously there is no fold equity here, but how does he know that? And I don't think he's going anywhere. He's got
Raphael's-
second pair, gut shot, backdoor clubs.
Raphael's bet 100 here. And I don't even know if Byron might just... Why didn't Byron bet there?
Amazing.
Well, now I think this is going to bring Byron in. He might push it all in here as well.
Of course he is.
And as you can tell, Raphael is not a favorite here against the field.
No, definitely not. Remember, he's got to dodge a 7, an 8, a 6, a king, a spade.
And this pot is going to be over $600. I mean, I think it's only another 25 or so for Raphael to call. I think.
I mean, normally you can almost throw away queens here, but in this case, it's so little money to win such a big pot. You have to call, and just hope that these guys are on spades and some sort of straight draw.
Big pot here, biggest of the night.
Wait, what about the 22?
I know. That's why I tried to put the $6 on the side pot.
And we've got a side pot as well.
No, he said all in, so the side pot. Side pot.
Yeah, little money on the side.
Byron can catch a king or a spade. Josh needs a 7 and 8 or a 6. Oh, wow.
Turns to 6. Josh is going to open-ended straight flush draw now, and the river is a 3. And
Josh
he
takes
makes Josh makes the straight there.
The 6 of clubs is by far the best hand in the deck for him. Gives him the straight, and he has clubs.
And when Raphael, once that 6 came, Raphael was drawing dead, right, on the turn.
Yes, he was.
Of course, Byron can always catch the spade, and look at that pot. It's
Nice
probably
pot
gonna
for
add some
Josh.
action. So we're getting this email here from Michael Sullivan.
Yeah, he says, hey, I know I'm watching a replay, but the pros and cons, as I see them, and he's talking about teaching poker. He says, pros, no variance, obviously. It's risk-free money. Cons, though, you are arming someone with your game. So I think Bart is right. You need to be making maybe even 3 times your hourly to give some guy lessons that he might be able to use against you. Maybe he'll get all his money back from you. Good point.
Yeah.
I could have built you a big sign.
On a side note, I love how Bart's mom emailed talking about everything she was so proud of, but left out the salvia. What does she think about that?
The button moves over here to seat 5. And Rick is going to raise here out of the blinds. He's got pocket 9s, a couple limpers. Michael folds ace 9. Dan's going to call here. And this represents like about 20% of Dan's stack, just that call, king, queen out of position here.
And that's a hand you really don't want to be calling raises with. I mean, unless you're in like stop and go mode where you're just going to call it and then push in with king, queen.
Well, again, I would assume that Dan would have raised himself if he had ace-king, but this is actually how you might play ace-king. if you call the raise from up front and the flop came Jack 5-3, you might move all in. But if the flop hits your hand, you might check raise, call, or check raise all in. Or
And
whatever.
some people at home might be going, wait a second, though. Won't players catch on to that? Probably not at this level.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure. Dan calling a raise out of position there. He knows he's behind, but how does he even know what he has? Now, apparently Maria Carrillo has read my blog. Something you haven't done. But you can go check it out at
Yes, I know where it is.
www.liveatthebike.com on the left-hand side.
Yes.
And I just want to wish Maria good luck. And don't worry about it. Remember, the cards have no memory. Okay, so if you're running bad, quote unquote, which I don't believe in, just remember the cards have no memory. Good luck to you.
2 ace-kings here, Byron and Raphael. And I think Byron might just push here. I mean, he's kind of short. I mean, how much are you going to raise it? You only have 50. Yeah, he's all in. Oh, he's got 85. Oh, he bought in for 100, and Raphael is going to call. Now, what you sometimes might see here, Dave, let's see if this goes to let's see if this goes in a big game.
Of course.
Say you've got kings or aces, and you both have the same hand, and all the money goes in pre-flop. Same situation here with ace-king. I might say to a guy, instead of running deal, I might say, you want to run the board, but just chop it up regardless of what comes, because we both have the equal chance of winning here. But
Right.
someone might get lucky with the flush. So if you want to reduce variance,
Right.
see right now Raphael is on a free roll running diamonds.
Yeah, now
here.
technically the casino doesn't allow that. This is going to get chopped up.
Yeah.
But of course you can do whatever you want outside of the table.
Yeah.
The only
I was
thing is
trying to do that with a guy a couple months ago when we both had kings. I'm like, listen, he didn't understand me. I'm like, listen, you want to just, we can't run it. I mean, we could run it 3 times, but that's stupid. I'm just like, can we agree to just chop the pot now, regardless of what comes? And he's like, why would we do that? No, let's just play poker. And he won. Kings versus kings.
That's classic. He
Yeah.
knew he was going to win.
Yeah.
The only thing that's funny, though, theoretically, let's say you were in a hand against some sort of fish. Now, I would never do this, but let's say you said, we're going to chop it up. Somebody at the table could, and let's say you ran it once, and you said, we're going to chop it up no matter what. You ran it once,
Yeah.
and the other guy won. Somebody at the table who wanted to be an ass could actually insist that
Yeah.
person takes the money, because then they'll have more money at the table. They know you're going to rebuy anyway,
Right.
and they don't want.
Because theoretically, I mean,
They want the bad player
that
with
gu-
more money.
That guy could still pay you like outside the game on the side out of his pocket, but the money's on the table for that other guy. putting the fish in his hand.
Exactly.
the
That's
point.
probably how it would have to happen.
Did Dan not raise here with aces
He
in the
did
cutoff? Wow.
He chose to just limp in.
In
Play
the
it tricky.
cutoff with 3 limpers.
Well, I thought maybe the small blind would raise.
King, queen, deuce here with a couple diamonds. We saw that last night at the end of the show, Dave, when the guy didn't raise it with aces out
In
of
the big blind. Oh.
Yeah.
I never understand that. I really don't.
Yeah, someone sent us a link here with Barry Tannenbaum.
Right.
Why do I know that name?
He writes for Card Player magazine.
Oh, that's why, yeah.
He and Matt Matros have conflicting arguments
right.
about blind play.
And he says he
limit hold'em.
charges $150 per hour.
Right, but his I'm trying to look at how his lessons work, though. It looks like his lessons are pretty much by email or phone.
Well, it says, no, make an appointment via email or phone to visit with me.
Or visit me. You can ask him questions or ask him how to discuss certain topics.
Right.
Or you can send him summaries of the hands you've played. He reads them. Then they analyze the hands together, try and find tendencies in your game that need correction.
Limped around here.
That one hand. Were you here when I got a straight? Was it a big one? Oh, yeah, that was a big one. 225.
Yeah, Dan, that's $5 here. And Raphael doesn't buy it. I mean, Dan, by making that little min-bit bet, has gotten Raphael to check raise him here with king, queen, and Dan immediately calls.
Oh, Rafael, I mean, how much heat can Dan take? Really? Well, Dan's got no money, though. He's not going anywhere with ace-4, is he? In fact, he's going to move in, I think. Oh, well, no, he's
Well,
not.
it's a third spade here. Yeah, I can't imagine.
And Rafael actually can catch a king, a queen, or a 10 to win this.
Well, Dan checks behind him, and the river is a 4 spade.
Yeah, and it is a 10, and the king is going to win
Hey,
here.
look at that. Now
oh, actually,
Raphael's
Dan's
going
got
to
a
put him
flush.
in.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Dan has the flush. Well, actually, I thought Raphael put him in. I mean, I don't understand the point of that little bet, but 4 spades is good.
And Raphael was trying to represent. He had this. He obviously had the king there. He had the straight, but I think he's trying to represent a spade and maybe get Dan off of a weak spade.
Every time I look at Dan, I think about stud high low, Dave. And you remember Alan, who emailed us a couple times. You know, he was kind of a low level prop here, but he would play stud high low pretty much the whole day because they wouldn't move him. Well, now things have changed this week. Somebody
Again?
complained. Yeah, someone complained about nothing to do with stud high low, but in Hold'em. So now he's the first one that gets picked up out of that game, the high low game. So he's just going to go out off on his own. But I mean, what would be
Another prop bites
yeah,
the dust.
What
Huh?
would be well, I mean, this is Alan. He's a good player. I mean, he's not biting the dust.
No, Alan's a very good player and a
Yeah.
good guy. I'm just saying
Yeah.
another prop is not propping anymore.
But the point of this is like, I mean, the amount of more money you can win in no limit. I mean, I think that you make your hourly in this game might be higher than a 20-40 stud high low game. I mean, what would be an hourly in 20-40 stud high low? It's split
Well,
by
I actually-
20-40 limit.
I've actually worked my hourly there, and I think I want to say my hourly was somewhere in the range of about $26 an hour in that game.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range, somewhere
Right.
between. But I remember being in the mid-20s when I checked it out with the lay hours. And that's only because the play was so weak here. You know, you noticed that
yeah,
as well.
Yeah. 8-6-5 here, Rainbow.
Nice flop for Raphael here. It's open-ended with a second pair.
And he's going to bet 25 here.
And he's in position on the field. He's going
Michael
to take it down.
folds and Byron folds as well. Now, right now, like I was trying to, work my 5-10 hourly. I've logged about 500 hours, but I still think probably 1,000 might be the minimum to really say, oh, this is my hourly.
Yeah, obviously,
100 hours a month.
you got to expect to have some
Ish.
variance in there.
For 10 full months, that's a pretty
Yeah.
good gauge. I mean, in reality, if you really wanted like a lifetime hour, I think it would be closer between 3,000 and 5,000 hours to really
probably.
head put that down.
I mean, stud high low. I would say the first year I kind of ignored the hourly rate.
Yeah.
I just didn't have enough hours. And
Right.
it wasn't until I was here for a full 2 years that I would actually really pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Look at him sneaking dinner in over there.
When's the last time you played a different game besides No Limit? Since you stopped propping, have you played anything different? I know you said, well, I'll go where the game is good, but I've never seen you play anything else.
The game is always better in no limit.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
it's,
Yeah.
the no limit games always seem to be better.
Plus, you just make so much more.
yeah, it's no
Because
comparison.
the other games at the limit that you're playing, there's just no point.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean-
Raphael, he's going to pull this kind of like a squeeze move here. He's going to raise it up after a few limpers,
Yeah.
take it down.
I mean, you imagine. I mean, even though I've actually started to kind of star like games that are like, let's say A+ games or B+ games and so forth, and sometimes I'll even play a game that's as bad as say a B- game, right?
Yeah.
And even in a B- game, my hourly rate is still twice as high as the stud high low game used to be.
Yeah. The other interesting thing about it is that 30-60 limit game, I think in the 5-10 game, you don't expose yourself to as much loss, and obviously you win so much more than in 36, or you could even say 20-40.
Right.
Now, Josh raised it with ace-queen, and Byron called with 10-3 suited. Byron works here. Is he a dealer? Right? He works here, right?
I don't know.
Sure.
Well, he's
Yeah.
got top pair now. How's that? I'm not sure if he works here, but he's got a pair of tens and he's going to bet it. He's putting his money in there, all of it,
Evelyn? I don't know.
and he's not going to get called here. And Byron takes it in.
You ever been back behind that wall and into the, that employee, food lounge where all the dealers hang out, where you can actually buy food back there?
Yeah, I hang out with him a lot.
If I bet on the flop, he's like, oh,
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'm good friends with all those guys back there. You know, I mean, they've told me on numerous occasions not to allow you back there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. They don't like you.
I see.
One time we were hanging out back there, me, Mark Safe, Barry Greenstein. We were actually just bashing on you. It's a big Bart bash. Byron's going to raise this up with a pretty weak holding, but he is in the cutoff seat. He's going to buy himself the button here. And Dan is going to make what I really think is a pretty loose call. I mean, it's one of those times where what are you rooting for? What do you want to hit? You know, and he's hit a 9 here, but how does he know he's even good? I mean, he is good.
King 8-9 with a couple spades.
How does he know, though? And if Byron continues here, he probably should take it down, and he's going to put all his money in there.
Well, what does that mean for Dan here? I mean, Dan can only really beat what you'd say like an ace-jack, and he just calls. Wow,
he's going to call, and he's in great shape, obviously.
He
Byron needs one of the remaining 8s to hit. Nobody has a spade.
Yep.
And a little overkill there as Dan makes trip 9s. He's going to win it.
He puts the cards back in the
We
window.
know what you got, Dan.
You know, we don't allow running the cards, more than once in smaller games, but if you call the floor over, say, in a 3-5 game, or say I was deep and this guy in C2 was deep, and we both knew what we were doing, if I called like a floor over, would they make an exception, you think, sometimes?
I would assume. I don't know
mean,
for
it's like
sure.
a $5,000 pot in a 3-5 game.
I would assume if somehow you were playing 3-5, you got your stack up to like $2,900.
Yeah.
Somebody else had you covered, and the pot was $6,000.
Yeah,
they would probably make an exception.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have like dictators here; they're not tyrants.
Right.
Obviously, the reason for it though is, obviously, it takes more time. Yeah. More time is less hands.
Well,
less hands is less money for the casino.
There was yesterday, Dave. It really slowed the game down because I was trying to explain to somebody. I don't know. I went home one day and thought about this just kind of randomly about what happens when, say, you run it 3 times. Obviously, if a guy wins it twice and the other guy wins it once, you win 2/3 of the total pot, and you actually win 1/3 of that guy's stack and 2/3 of the pot.
Right.
Now, what happens if you run it twice and you win it once and it's a chump on the second time? You actually win half of that guy's stack.
Right.
And 3/4 of the pot. No one could figure that out. They thought that you would, that you would win 3/4 of that guy's stack, and I was like, no, you would only win half of the stack.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Or say you ran it 3 times.
Because you got to realize that guy, when he chops it,
right. Say he's got 1,000 and you have 1,000. The total pot is 2,000. Okay.
Right.
You win 1,500. He wins 500. You win half of his stack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was trying.
He's going to win 75% of the entire pot.
And here's another thing: if you run it 3 times and you win twice, and the third one is chopped, you now win 2/3 of his stack.
Right.
And
or 5 if you want to.
5/6.
You can say 5
pot.
6s. Right.
Right.
Anybody that learns, fractions.
But
Make
you win
it easier for
5/6 of the pot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of the total pot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes when it gets complicated like that, best thing to do is just put the money in the middle.
Yeah,
just put it in the middle and just chop it up that way. Because most of the dealers don't know either. And we're going to see this 3 ways. Kind of a small little dinky raise. And it's about a $40 pot now.
Yeah, raised there with 5-6 of diamonds by Raphael. Josh's call with 8s here.
Yeah, it's not a terrible flop for H, is it? I mean, Josh is going to check and call here.
As you can see, Josh has played a lot of check call poker here.
And Raphael can catch a 5 or a 6 here to win this pot. Now another card comes out to Jack, and now Josh is open-ended. And Josh is going to at least call this bet. And Raphael gives him a card. And the river's a 5, and Raphael gets there.
Yeah, it makes 2 pair here on the
And you can see Josh, by playing it so passively, he allows his opponent to get there.
I mean, he was more than a 9-1 favorite there with 1 card to come.
Yeah, I mean, he allows the opponent. And look at this. It's a nice bet. Raphael's going to value bet this. And you wonder, is Josh going to call? No, Josh is not going to call.
Well, you wonder how that 5 changed much if the guy checked the turn. I mean, wouldn't you check call there with 8s?
I think he was just taking one off with the 8s.
Oh, okay.
And then the guy didn't bet the next one.
Email here from Greg in Delaware. Did anybody tell Eric on Tuesday that he had mucked a flush? Remember when he flopped 2 pair? Yes. He actually knew it before the show ended.
Yeah. He realized it.
Yeah. Seat number 3 here, Byron. He's got ace-queen. He's just going to limp in here.
I want to thank John there for that link to Barry Tannenbaum's site.
Hurt them.
And 6-way action here.
How about a flop straight for Walt in seat number 8?
And look at Raphael. He's got top 2. Oh, Raphael's not in the hand.
No, lucky
Raphael
for
would
Raphael.
have had top 2 pair there.
Lucky for him.
Yeah. And Walt comes out and bets here, 15. Remember, Walt doesn't normally play this game. He's playing for the show, but he is a professional, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know.
Or he definitely. I thought he was.
I mean, he's a very good player. I don't know
Yeah.
if he does this for a living or not. I don't know if this is his sole employment. He doesn't play very big games.
Well, he plays the 500.
Does
I was
he?
playing
Very
I
rarely.
was playing with him this afternoon.
Does he play the 500 often? No, the 510 game?
He's not here that often.
Yeah,
anymore.
you're not exactly. He does play other places. You wonder if he either.
It's so funny because Dave and I really don't play at any other places on a rare occasion, once
Yeah.
in a great while. But whenever we go to another place, we see all these same faces. And we're like, oh, yeah, come here too, right? Yeah.
Well, you wonder if they ever stop playing poker.
Right. Like the stud high-low guys, like you go over to Commerce and you see them playing stud high because they have a couple of those games going on over there. They have a 20 and a 30, I think. $15 raise here at Jack 7. Walt is going to smooth call here with Ace Queen.
Should have been open-handed. All in. Check. That was a big
And flop comes out King, King 6 here. And Dan brought this one in with Jack 7, and he's got a continuation bet here. And you know what? I think he's going to get it done because no one really has anything. Well, Walt is thinking about it, but I don't really know what he's thinking about. Is he going to, say, float one off here on the button? With Ace Queen?
I mean, I think in this situation, if you're calling to set up a play on the turn. A couple of emails here I wanted to get to. Nice email here from Tom. Says, okay, I've been watching for about 6 weeks and I'm playing better poker already. I'm really learning a lot. I watch all day long while I work at home. Played last night, made money. He's learning the pot odds, when it's worth to chase a card, and so forth and so on. He loves the show. He wants to know what happened to Russ.
Russ?
Hollywood Russ, I'm assuming?
Yeah, he was actually here today. He was actually
we saw
playing
him.
the 200
Yeah.
game today. I think he said, I didn't ask him, but, because I didn't want to, make it sound like insulting, but I think Mo said he was kind of going back to basics. He had a tough run. He was moving down. Is that something that you might ever consider doing?
Well, if you're playing the way Russ was playing, yeah, you would.
Yeah.
If anybody's not familiar with Hollywood Russ, go check out the archives from like 6-7 months ago and watch Hollywood
like
Russ,
that.
and there he is. A great guy. I mean,
Now,
really,
is that I don't know if we can pull. Is that the 500 game? Yeah. Oh, that might be 3 to 5, Dave.
yeah, it might be 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Really a super guy. And if
Wow,
you
well,
watched
where's
his game,
my
say,
eyes?
6-7 months ago, he was this passive, kind of a tighter, weaker player.
Yeah.
But he played it so tight, weak, that he rarely lost a lot of money. And then over the last 2 months, he's kind of changed his game, turned it upside down, where he became this aggressive player, but almost got too aggressive, where his swings were huge.
You gotta wonder, was Isaac watching Russ anyways? For that thing to come up so quick? Did he have the camera on Russ anyways, even before? Oh, that was Ray. Oh, well, all right. Same question for Ray.
What are you suggesting?
You'd be amazed at some of the stuff you see that comes out of Ray's camera that we don't put on the screen.
Yeah.
He's good about it with me getting some shots of certain chip runners walking by and such. Yeah, Asian angels.
I had a raise here from Rick here. He's raised
King
him
Queen
$25 with King Queen. That's a pretty big raise considering how big his stack is. And Raphael's not going to call. Byron's not going to call, and I'm sorry, that was actually Michael didn't call. Now Raphael's not going to call. Takes it down.
It was funny too. Remember when we were doing the thing for the Poker Channel, the LA Poker Scene, that
Right.
our editor of the show, Nick, he would always ask me, he's like, "What is your cameraman doing? He's got all this B-roll of this, shots of these women's asses and such."
Thought maybe he'd use it. Got a chip down here.
Chip count.
3,400 on the table. Michael still got the table covered with 1,250. Josh up to 500. Let's see how they're doing. Michael up 850. Josh up 120. Dennis is up 65. Now Raphael and Byron are our big losers, down 500 and down 200 respectively.
Respectively.
Thank you.
Another
Email here from
yeah.
Jared Pondelik. Says, hey Dave and Bart. For people to complain about the cost of the archives is really crazy. If you can't afford $15 a month, and this is him saying this, obviously, from playing poker to watch all the archives, that should be even more of a reason to pay and watch them. Since by viewing them, you'll be able to make at least $15 a month. Appreciate that.
Got a raise here by Michael with Ace Queen. And at 50 to go. And I believe that this is a re-raise of Dan's little raise with Ace 9 of Hearts, if I'm not mistaken.
You are right.
Yeah.
It's a little $15 bump up. We got a call by Josh.
Yep.
And then a call also by seat number 1, Dennis. And he
Yes,
decided, you
and
know what? Good spot for me to re-raise this with Ace Queen. Now, does Dennis get involved? Does Dennis have enough money to make this call? I believe it's another 35 more. And with the dead money in there, I might call this.
Well, remember, you're trying to make we talk about the 10 times rule, but you're trying to make if it's 35, you need to make 350 from the pot. So even though he doesn't have 350 in front of him, he still might be able to make 350 total because of there's money in there.
I don't mind the laydown either. It's obviously a give or take here. He also says here, I hear top pros charge at least $10,000 per hour lesson. I might be wrong, but I thought Phil Hellmuth was actually charging $15,000. He also said, while we're talking about lessons, and I'm bringing this up because somebody else sent an email a couple of days about it, how much do you think that the Daniel Negreanu protege thing is worth? Yeah, I know the protege gets $40,000 worth of tournament buy-ins, plus a private email address with him, and a one-on-one tutoring on your game with Daniel Negreanu. What is that? Is that priceless with Daniel Negreanu for a year? I mean, that's a pretty good deal. I mean, we actually had an email a couple of days ago.
Call me the $1 Million Man, but everybody has a price, I think. There's
Oh, of course. But, I mean, that's pretty cool, though, right? To have one-on-one tutoring with him for the entire year. Rick was the initial raiser here with 9-6 of clubs. Actually, I'm sorry, 9-8 of clubs. Wow, not a bad flop for 9-8 of clubs.
Yeah, with the ace out there, he's got a club draw, and you'd imagine he's going to bet here.
Now, Keith has ace-9.
Well, Keith has played it pretty tight. I mean, he checks it now. And Rick is going to bet the flush draw. Now, remember, I said that I raised with this hand from up front maybe once every 2 weeks. And this guy's just going to check. I mean, here's the inherent problem with the ace-9 here. I mean, he is check raising here. I think Rick is going to make this call, even if the guy does have a 10 with the flush draw. And the problem for Keith is that
I think he has to call it. I mean, the pot is about, I want to say the pot's about 150, maybe 40 to call.
Yeah, he's definitely.
I mean, he's getting 4 to 1 on his money almost.
He calls. Now, as you can see, look, flush draw against pair, it's about 2 to 1 here, 35. Turns a 9.
Pick up another 9. Nope, not going to get there.
Yeah, if the river was obviously a 9 of clubs, it would.
Oh,
not.
actually, what am I talking about? No, Keith's got a.
Yeah, Keith has got he's got an ace.
No, I thought for a second another 9 would help him, but no,
Oh.
Keith's got a 9 in his hand. I didn't realize that.
It actually decreases Rick's outs on the river.
Yeah.
So 10,000 per hour per lesson, huh? Wow.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? We got an email 2 days ago mentioning that they thought a good idea for Live at the Bike would be kind of a protege type promo.
Yeah.
Where somebody can win and be a protege on Live at the Bike for a year.
You know, last night we missed. I think we were talking because we got an email here and it was sent right after the show and I didn't read it. I did see it though, and this is by.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second because we got
Avi.
pocket aces in the big blind for Rick. Couple of limpers. And what does Rick make this year? How much is he going to make it now? No, I'm sorry. Rick actually limped in under the gun.
Limped in with it.
Looking for that limp re-raise. Didn't get it. And I got to tell you, in this game, I'm not sure if I go for that.
Yeah, because there isn't like a really overly aggressive player.
No, I'd say about 40 to 50% of the pots are being raised, but there's certainly no assurance. I'd rather play my hand straightforward in this game. Now, Rick has bet it, and Josh has called with a gut shot straight draw. And now Josh has picked up a pair. Josh can catch a deuce, a 5, or a 4 to win this pot. And if you're Rick, you're probably going to fire it one more time. And he is going to put $40 in there. And if you're Josh, I mean, I'm not sure why he called him the flop with a gut shot, but now he's got a gut shot with a pair. He's a 4 to 1 dog, but he's not going to call. And the river was a deuce. He would have gotten there. Josh would have made 2 pair on the river.
Oh, I don't know if I read this email last night by Todd Neepson. But again, there was a hand last night where the board read 4-4-8, okay, with 2 clubs, and the turn was a 9 of clubs. And I think the money got all in. And the guy had queens, and what did the other guy have, a 4 or something?
No, kings.
Kings. And we said, because he had the king of clubs, when the turn brought the 9 of clubs, we said he only had 1 out. Not figuring the queen of clubs as an out because we thought it would make the guy with kings a flush.
Right, we misread the board.
But, yeah, so sort of. But the board was paired with 4. So we said, it was a 1-outer, but in case it was a 2-out.
We misread the board, I mean.
Okay. So emailed by Todd Neepson, he says, you guys once again have misread the board. It seems to happen a lot. Get back on the stuff, guys. I see you guys missing things very often and feel like the show could be much better if you didn't screw up so much. He said he still loves the show.
I think he said that with all love.
Okay. And I'll get to this email by Avi in a second here, because we didn't get a chance to read it last night. So we had a raise here by seat number
Josh.
9, Josh.
They raised it up with ace-jack, kind of in
$125
early position.
pot.
And he's missed it. Flop comes out queen, queen, deuce, and Dennis is still in the lead. And if you're Dennis, I think you got to put a little bit of money in the pot, see where you're at.
Yeah, and Josh has checked it to him.
And I like this. I think he's going to put a little, kind of a feeler bet in there. Remember, there's no draw out there whatsoever, so if you get called, you'll know exactly where you're at. And nobody's going to call him, and Dennis takes it down. Nice bet. We see so often somebody just checks that, check it, and then they end up losing it to somebody else, or they throw their hand away. Nice bet there by Dennis.
So Avi said,
Go ahead.
it's interesting. After hearing you read my email, I thought it was silly to even point out, and I think he had sent us an email saying we misread the board. Is a 2-outer so much less a suck out than a 1-outer? It just proves, not to stroke you guys, how well you're commenting, as we have to nitpick to find issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, once again, our show is live. It's completely unedited, unscripted. And, obviously we make mistakes once in a while. It's going to happen. A couple of ace-5s out there. Ace-5 of clubs for seat number 6. That's Dan. Got an ace-5 offsuit for Josh. And this is going to check around, and we're going to see this 6 ways. So it's a $30 pot. Flop comes out 10-7-3, a couple of diamonds. Now, Byron has flopped top pair with a king kicker. And he is going to bet $20 into about a $30 pot. And that should be enough to get it done. I mean, nobody's really got anything. And it is. Byron takes it down. Button moves over to seat number 8. That's Walt. Small blind is $3. That's Josh in seat 9. Dennis has got the big blind in seat 1. And that makes Michael under the gun. Speaking of under the gun, you can check out my blog, Under the Gun with David Tuckman. Go to our website. We've also got a new, you can check out the old video blog that we're putting up there. Our video blog is kind of a place where we're analyzing our hands and your hands. Just completed another one today and should be up tomorrow.
Yeah, we went a little long today. Again, we're going to probably cut it to 2 hands. Maybe 1 from us, 1 from the viewer. Because we just can't seem to help ourselves, Dave. 5-way action here. 10 deuce 10. It was limped around. Josh has got a flush draw with overcard.
And he didn't bet it. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm betting that, aren't you?
Well, especially if you bet out with the 10.
Well, you and I bet our 10 there, so we can bet queen jack of diamonds, and it really puts somebody. I mean, let's say I had pocket 5s, and you bet into me with queen jack of diamonds. It really puts me in a tough spot.
Well, Dan is called here with queen deuce. And now Josh has made a flush, and what is he gonna play it tricky from up front? Does he really think Dan is gonna bet here on a deuce? And it goes check, check. And the river now is a 4th diamond, and he checked it again. And now Dan bets. And is he gonna check raise? Or is he scared of the king? Yeah, he's gonna mini check raise here.
Why would Dan bet that river?
He's trying to maybe get the guy. He probably doesn't think he's got the best hand here.
So what's he gonna get him off of? He bet the flop and he got called. What do you put the guy on?
And how can Dan call this check raise here? I mean, he's trying to manufacture something.
I just don't understand why you bet the river. And I'm only hammering on Dan because we know him, but the board is 10-10 deuce. Okay, you bet, your opponent calls you. Okay. Well, there's no straight draw out there. My opponent either has diamonds, a 10, or a deuce. Okay, or maybe he's got nothing. Maybe he's just calling me with overcards. Well, now the ace comes. Do you really think your opponent's going to lay down an ace? No, your opponent's not going to lay down 10. Your opponent's not going to lay down diamonds. I mean, if there's ever a time to just take the showdown, it's there.
Button's going to move over here to seat 9, Dave.
Post here from San Marcos. He says, I'm guessing since Bart is such a huge sports fan that he must have TiVoed the spelling bee on ABC tonight.
Has the spelling bee moved over to ABC?
Hey, it's prime time, man.
Is it really on ABC?
Prime time, baby.
So look at that.
Look where our society has gone. We are now exploiting little kids. We're making millions off of little kids. Really sad.
You know, corporate conglomeration, ABC, ESPN are all owned by the same company, owned by Disney, right? All the same thing.
It's all Disney.
Disney.
Mickey Mouse trying to play it like he's all for the kids. Yeah, whatever.
5-way action here. Queen 6-8 here, and Josh has got Queen 9. He's got the best hand. Isn't Monday Night Football going over to ESPN next season, right?
It is, yeah. The Sunday night game is going to be on ABC.
Really?
Oh, no, the Sunday night's game is going to be... No, the Sunday night game is still prime time. I mean, it's going on. I mean, it's one of the 4... I think it's on... I believe it's ABC.
What, the Sunday night game?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why in a second.
Are you serious?
I'll tell you why in a second.
Okay. That's weird. Now, did Walt bet and Josh called, or I think Walt must have bet.
Yeah, that's how exactly how it went.
Check.
And that went check. And it's going to go check here again.
Yeah.
Notice how Walt, there's no point in him betting. He's not going to bet with his deuces. If the guy missed the draw, well, then he missed it.
Right.
He's certainly not going to get him off a better hand.
Well, draw got there on the river there.
I want to say it's ABC, unless Fox has bought it out. The reason why is Monday Night Football ratings have gone down so much.
Yeah.
Because the games are duds. Now, what the networks wanted was they wanted the NFL to have, they wanted some kind of flexibility with the Monday night game. But the NFL kind of balked at that. They said that we can't do that to the teams.
Right.
Because they have to know what their schedule is.
Right.
So what they did was they go, okay, the Monday night game will go to ESPN, and we want the big time game to be on Sunday night.
Really?
And that way there's a lot of flexibility with that game. Because the game is going to be on Sunday anyway, and that way they can kind of choose the best one.
Does that mean that John Madden and Al Michaels are going to do the Sunday night game, and the
I
Monday
believe
night
so.
game is just going to be minor now?
The Monday night game is going to be
Sunday
Theismann and those guys over on ESPN.
Okay.
And the Sunday night game will be
that.
flexible. So let's say the Patriots are 4-10 after 14 games, and the Jets are 10-4. Well, then suddenly they'll put the Jets into the Sunday night game, and they'll just throw away the Patriots game.
Now, Dan is going to bet out here as limped around with Jack 10.
Now, Michael's open-ended.
Dan has absolutely nothing. He's bet $10 into a $30 pot with Jack 10.
Once again, in a limped around pot, if I've got 4-6 there, a rainbow pot, I'm probably betting it right into that pot, aren't you?
Well, Michael calls. King 5 also calls.
And now King 5's got trip 5s.
Yep.
And Byron's going to bet it.
Well, I mean, if you're Dan here, he bets $10 into a $40 or $30 pot with Jack 10 on the flop. I just, it's...
Well, hey, if you're going to try to steal it, really steal it, put $40 in there.
This might go full. I don't know. Michael might stick around. Let's see.
Michael might call.
Yeah, he's going to call.
If he hits his hand, he's probably going to get all of Byron's money. Well, he should get all Byron's money. No.
River's an ace.
That's no help there. Michael needed a deuce or 7, obviously.
Is he going to try to bluff at it here? Byron's going to put a little value bet, and that's going to do it there. Well, the thing about Monday Night Football was that they always... I mean, one of the rules, actually, in scheduling was that they never put a team on that hadn't had a 500 record the year before because they didn't want duds. But with the parity of the NFL, you never know who's going to be hot or down.
And that,
so it's, it's...
And that was ABC's... That was what they were saying, was sometimes we had game... I mean, they had a game last year. I think at the end of the year, it was like Green Bay...
Oh, yeah.
I want to say like Green Bay, Oakland at the end of the year. It was something that bad. It was like, are you kidding me?
Right.
These guys are playing on Monday night?
Right.
Now the rule is the NFL actually every team has to have one primetime game, whether it be Sunday night or
Right.
Monday night.
Yeah, but at that time, though, like I said, though, the Monday night game, or when they used to schedule it, I remember the years right after the Patriots won the Super Bowl when they were dismal in the late 80s. Like, they weren't on a Monday night for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Late 80s to early 90s.
And in recent years, they've been on 3 times.
Yeah, that's the cap out on the season.
Well, it's hard to know with the NFL, with so much parity in the NFL, every team is really one injury away from sucking.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I know actually late in the season, the Patriots and the Jets were on Monday night because they thought that both teams would kind of be in it and fighting for the division. The Jets had all these injuries and they suck so bad, the game became just a garbage game. Now Rick is going to leave.
Did you stop watching the Jets towards the end of the season?
No, I watched them.
Oh.
I'm a glutton for punishment. I tell you, I literally bleed green. I'm such a big fan that and I'll always be a Jet fan. One year they will.
Growing up in upstate New York, you were never a Bills fan. You were just a Jets fan.
I think so. I moved downstate when I was fairly young.
How old?
13 and a half.
Oh, okay.
And my dad was actually from Brooklyn.
Okay, yeah.
So he was actually a Jet fan growing up as well. Well, not growing up, but he was a Jet fan when I was a kid.
Well, we know your range.
$20 raise here on the button.
Can he win?
King 9, Byron. He's raising with Queen 4, is that right?
Hey,
Wow.
mixing up a game a little bit.
King 8-4 here. Well, Walt's got top pair with King Jack suited. Now, King Jack is obviously not the nuts here on this flop, but would you bet and see maybe where you're at?
Well, he's not going to bet. He's going to check it and let
Michael
seat number
bets.
2, Michael, bet it.
So is Walt going to check call here?
Oftentimes with the King Jack, I'd almost rather hit my Jack than my King.
And look at this. Byron's going to call in between. And now, I thought maybe Walt might not even overcall, but he does. Again, at this level, Dave, you just never know
Yeah, you really don't.
what these guys have.
Well, that's not a scary card at all.
Nope.
Deuce of Hearts. Walt's still in the lead, and I might actually bet right into my opponents, but he's not going to. He's going to check to Michael, see what Michael does, and Michael is going to bet what looks like about $75. And this pot is getting pretty big pretty fast. And if you're Walt here, I'm assuming you're pretty much in push mode or fold. He's only got about 125, 150 left. Yeah, and he's going to just push it in.
Well, this is not the situation you want to get in with King Jack, even though his hand is good.
Yeah, and in this case now, Michael's going to call him, and Michael needs a 9 or 9 only, or Walt's going to double up. Not going to happen, and Walt doubles up.
Yeah.
Now, this game, because it is so short stacked, it kind of plays, to me, this game actually plays kind of like a non-rebuy short stack tournament.
Look at Ray in the background there.
He's just cool. I gotta tell you, man. I wish I was as cool as Ray. I really do. Get a new player in seat number 7. His name is Rick also. That's convenient.
Yeah, Roddy doesn't have to change the...
Now, I was going to say, oftentimes I kind of compare this game to kind of a small buy-in tournament. Like, those little $100 or $200 buy-in tournaments, or even in nooner nights that are, say, $25 or $40, where you don't get that many chips in relation to the blinds. And because the blinds escalate so quickly, you've really got to sometimes make a stand with a hand as weak as King Jack. In this case, sometimes that happens, too, where you just, you're looking at it going, well, I can fold this or I can just move all in, and I can always rebuy.
Well, Keith has picked up a couple of cowboys here, and he's really played a tight game. I don't remember really when the last time he was in the hand, except for that ace-9 against Nebbiolo. He's got kings here in the small blind. And Byron, playing a little laggy now, is going to raise it up here with 4-3 offsuit, second hand in a row. Last time it was queen 4. And Keith is going to quickly come over the top here.
Well, the queen 4 raise worked so well for him, he figured he'd try it again.
17,
Now, he's not going to call here, is he?
17,
50 more.
50 more.
He's going to call.
Well, this is just pure gamble, Dave.
Pretty much. I mean,
And
he might
he's
as
in there
well.
with over half his stack with 3-4. Well,
Hey, nothing wrong with gambling here.
yeah. He has, that board has missed him, yeah, totally.
I'm surprised he lays it down. I mean, he could have caught running hearts or running 3s, running 3-4. A lot of ways to win that hand.
Email here from Todd B. And by the way, my name does not stand for Bartholomew. Dave and Bartholomew.
I like that.
I have a friend who turned pro and moved out to LA. He tells me that the bike and the Commerce spread games all the way up to 4,000, 8,000. When I hear you both talk about the games at the bike, your descriptions lead me to believe that the biggest games that are spread are maybe 200, 400. How did the games at the bike go?
How high do the games?
Well, Yosh spreads, I think it's up to 400, 800 mixed game. We have that game. I don't know if you've ever had 4,000, 8,000. But I know the 2,000, 4,000 will go during Legends when those guys are here.
Well, I mean, when Doyle Brunson and Phil Ivey were here, they were playing 5,000, 10,000.
Were they here?
They were.
Yeah.
They were playing 5,000, 10,000 limit hold'em. But that game is
When
pretty
was
much.
that?
It's a
When was that?
Legends.
Last limit?
Last
They
Legends.
weren't even playing mixed. They were playing 5,000, 10,000.
No, they were playing limit mixed games.
Oh, okay.
Limit
Yeah,
and
yeah,
mixed.
Right.
Chinese poker,
Right.
all different games.
Right.
But those games that high, that's really specialized times when people
Yeah.
are in town. Generally, the highest games here, like you said, are 400, 800, or 25, 50, no limit hold'em.
Queen 9-6 here with a couple of diamonds. Rick is going to he's going to come out and bet 40. Josh is going to call with a gut shot to the 8 here, Dave. He needs Rick to make 2 pair. Well, turns a third diamond. I wonder if he can use that as a scare card. Well, yeah, he gets checked, and he's going to bet. And I don't know if Rick can continue on here with the middle pair.
Probably not. I mean, at this point, you can't beat a queen. You also can't beat diamonds.
Wow.
But he's going to call anyway.
River's
And
queen.
yeah, well, if anything, that's going to make that probably makes Rick call even better. And Josh is going to continue pushing.
Wow, he pushes all in, and he folds right away. He shows the bluff.
Wow. And that's why we play the games.
You know, it's funny. I was also listening to the circuit interview for, say, like maybe the 20th time with Liz Liu. And,
Oh, I thought you were going to say yourself.
well,
again.
that's, yeah.
I really thought you were going to say yourself again. I was like, you did not listen to our interview again. Did you really? Okay.
But Liz Liu was saying that during the time of the LA Poker Classic, I think it was during the tag team tournament, she was playing with John Fan. She wanted to really get out of that tournament because they were spreading at Commerce 500, 1,000 limit hold'em, which she said was an extremely rare game because normally when you get up to that level, they are mixed games. But it was straight limit hold'em.
Wow, 500, 1,000
Yeah.
limit hold'em.
Yeah.
Depending on who's in it, it can be a really good game.
Yeah.
Funny, Jerry Buss comes down here. When Jerry Buss shows the bike, they'll spread the 400, 800 limit hold'em game.
Right.
And that's because he only plays limit hold'em.
Right.
And amazingly, that game fills up with about 15 people on the board.
Right.
Right away. And we've seen that game here. And a lot of those guys, I'm going to tell you the game is actually a really weak game, and I'm going to tell you why right after this hand.
Yeah. I think I know why you're going to say. But we had a raise here by seat number 1. Dennis. Michael called, and Byron moved in. And I think Dennis is going to call here.
Oh, I think you got to call
And
dead
Michael
money
isn't
there.
going to call. I mean, is Michael going to overcall with King Jack here?
See, I think once Byron calls, I think once Dennis calls, I think you easily lay down King Jack.
Yeah, you got a guy all in.
Yeah, I think it's a...
Well, he calls. So we're going to have some main pot and side pot action here.
And the main pot is about $175. Maybe even $200. Well, nice flop for King 9 of diamonds.
Yeah,
huh?
Byron is all in. This one might just go check on the side here. And it does.
Really, you wouldn't bet King 9 diamonds? I would. It's not a tournament.
Byron is all in here, Dave.
Oh,
Side.
okay. I'm sorry. Thank you.
And the river here is a 6.
And Dennis is going to win
Dennis
it.
is going to win.
55.
Now, here, Michael is actually going to bet Dennis out of the hand on the side, and he's going to win it when he did that.
Oh, wow.
He bet him off of the hand, and he wins the whole pot. I was going to say, wow, he's bluffing into a dry side pot.
Well,
And he's
you
going
know-
to take the whole thing down.
The funny thing is, normally you wouldn't do that, and you'd
Right.
never do it in a tournament
Right.
because you really want to knock that guy out. But hey, if you're watching the way Byron plays, maybe King Jack is good.
Exactly, and you think that maybe this other guy brought it in with an ace. He played really tight. You need to bet him off the hand.
Exactly. Anyway, I was going to say, if you want to go back to last August, and we've actually had this game on a couple of times now, the 400, 800 limit game. We've had it on with Ted Forrest. Chad Brown was on it in the game back at Old School Live at the Bike. And then we had it on again in August with Jerry Buss. Tim Fan was in the game. Sean Shakin was in the game. Some big-time players. But I'll tell you that I thought the play in that game was really weak. And you and I both felt kind of awkward even doing the commentary for that game because at the time, it wasn't a limit that you and I play. The highest limit I've played is 8160. But we were watching this game going, can we even criticize these guys?
Right.
I mean, is it within our right to actually criticize these guys? And after a while, we got to the point where we're going,
These guys are terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point where I thought a lot of these players
Yeah.
are used to playing very short games.
Short-handed games, right?
They're used to playing 400, 800 limit hold'em.
You would see guys bring in like a raise with the ace-6 offsuit and a full ring under the gun game. That is not a good limit hold'em.
That is a
move,
negative EV
Yeah,
in limit hold'em
yeah.
game. Definitely. It's a terrible play in the limit hold'em game,
Right.
a full ring game.
Right.
And I noticed that I think most of these guys are playing four-handed, five-handed, 400, 800 limit,
Yeah.
where ace-6 is a premium holding, five-handed,
Right.
four-handed.
Right.
But now they're playing in a nine-handed game or an eight-handed game where that hand is really garbage. And Byron is officially just gambling here, huh? He's bought in for another 100 here. He's called a raise with pocket fours.
Yeah, Rick raised it here with 6s. Keith called with Queen Jack of Hearts.
Well, 6 is just still good.
And Byron might go broke on this hand. 9-9-3 here. And he moves all in. Byron moves all in here.
I got to tell you, if you're Rick,
I think you call here because you definitely don't think Byron has a 9 here.
no way. Come on. Keith can't call, but
Yeah.
especially with the player behind him. But Keith's thinking about it.
I think this is actually an easy call for Rick.
Definitely. Come on.
What the hell is Keith thinking about here? I have a pretty good feeling Rick's going to call here.
He's got no money. Of course he's going to call. And he's in great shape here. Byron's got to catch a 4 and only a 4.
Well, supposedly with the way Rick has been running, he said to Ray, Byron will catch it. Needs a 4.
Kind of the self-fulfilling prophecy there.
Not this time.
Stop feeling bad for yourself.
Well, and a lot of those guys, too, are, the reason why they play those mixed games is because, we had a couple of those guys that were, like, deuce to 7 specialists. I remember Barry Greenson saying, some of those guys just weren't that good at limit hold'em. Remember,
No.
mixed games can comprise of 7 or 8 different games sometimes.
I just noticed they did not adjust to a full ring game.
Yeah.
And I really wondered how often they play in a full ring game that's
Right.
that big.
Right.
Probably pretty rare. And I noticed when I went down to the World Series last year, and I predominantly play the 8160 limit hold'em game.
Yeah.
I noticed it was a full ring game because the World Series is going on. Actually, Bellagio had 2 or 3 of them going at the same time. And I noticed the play was really weak in that game too. And I was wondering if a lot of those players also weren't comfortable or weren't familiar playing a full ring game.
Was the game pretty weak?
I really thought it was.
Like weaker than the 20 games here or the 30 games?
I thought it was comparable to the 20 and 30 games.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think 20, 30 games here are pretty weak.
yeah.
So, and now we're upping the money there. So I was like, okay, so
I got to tell you, though, I would imagine at Commerce, they're going to spread that 500, 1,000 straight limit hold'em. You're probably going to see some of the best limit hold'em players in that game, though.
of course you are, but
Yeah.
you still have to wonder, though, how often do those players play in full ring games?
Right.
When I go over to the other casino here,
Right.
and I go over there and I see them spread, let's say they're playing a 200,
Usually do a
400,
200, 400 limit, yeah.
and I see that game, it's 5-handed.
Really? It's
Or
not.
it's 4-handed, or
Yeah,
it's
usually
6-handed.
the biggest full ring game, and they only have 1 or 2 tables, is the 1-2 game, the 100, 200.
Right, exactly.
Then they have a shitload of 48.
Oh,
40
those are
games.
full ring games.
Yeah, the 40 games. Yeah.
You know, and you wonder if those guys who are normally playing 2-4, can they adjust to a bigger game?
Right.
I'm saying more players.
Right, right. Interesting point. Pocket queens here for seat number 7. Pocket 9s for seat 5. Live straddle here by Raphael in seat 4. Well, 9's just going to limp in here and see what Rick, who just fresh off that win with 6s, he's going to raise it up here with queens.
Raise, make it 40 total.
It's going to make it 40 to go. And let's see if Keith is going to make this call.
And you wonder if he's got enough money to make this call. Is he going to get? Is he going to
Or
go
do you
broke?
just push if you think you have the best hand here?
Or sometimes a stop and go play here isn't a bad way to go
And he
too.
folds. The other problem with the limp push here, though, too, is that you're going to get called by any of the hands, probably, with
That
the
are
pot
50-50.
that are 50-50, and also you're going to be called by the hands that are higher overpairs
Right.
than you.
Which is
so-
why oftentimes you might want to do the stop and go there.
Yeah, because there's no equity, there's no fold equity to move, but the stop and go play might work.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, if he's got queens, the flop comes out ace king blank. You stop
Yeah.
and go regardless.
Right.
You might get him off it. Or
Right.
if he's got ace king, the flop comes out jack high and you move in.
Yeah.
That might work also.
Right. New player coming into seat number 6. Oh, seat 3. Alex. So Byron is taking his gambling out elsewhere.
Now, I'll say, I mean, this year at the World Series, I'm probably going to predominantly be playing No Limit Hold'em. But the 8160 game was a very juicy game. I only logged probably about 200 hours, not even, maybe 150 hours during the 6 weeks.
Played 150 hours in that game?
Probably. I mean,
Wow.
that's pretty much the only game I played. I was playing either 8160 Limit Hold'em or in the tournaments.
Yeah. 6-way action here, limped around.
Top
Ace,
two.
Queen 5. Well, Keith's got top 2 here. Now, Dennis has a flush draw. Now, Keith did not bet here on the flop.
Amazing.
Turn is a 10. And now he's going to bet. Bets 20.
You wonder if, like, the 3 of spades came up.
Well,
Is he just going to go broke?
Dennis
Vault makes a set?
also now has a gut shot. I mean, he's got 12 outs here.
You know, with 1 card to go, he doesn't have that much money.
And he makes the call.
Well,
He's got 12 outs.
That's
River's
not one
a
of them.
king. No, that's not one of them.
scary card, though. Really is. Obviously, anybody with a jack would win this hand.
Now, again, as you get more advanced there, you know, now when the river comes, this is some of the things you should start to work through your head. When the river comes king there and the guy checks to you, I know probably that my hand, king 7 here, might not be good. Although I guess everyone checked on the flop, so you might think the guy just bet on a queen. But if you don't think your hand is good, it's a great scare card to bet and to win.
Right. You start thinking on the turn when the guy bets into you, you go,
I have
okay, well, if
12
a jack
outs.
comes, I win.
Right,
If
right.
a club comes, I win. And if a king comes, maybe I can represent the jack.
Right, right. But again, it went checked around the flop, so, you know, that guy might have let out with a queen, so he might have thought that checking behind would just win it. But at the same time, though, if he has a queen and you bet, he's probably going to fold. So I don't necessarily know if there's any harm to betting because I don't think he's going to check a straight there. I think you might get a better hand off of it, like an ace. I don't know if the guy would have folded ace-queen there, which was aces up. Email here by Will Sanders talking about why do you play Omaha High-Low? It seems like it's a very boring game.
No game of poker is boring.
I
If
find
you
it
really
really
start
works out to just pedal the nuts, which is true on either side. You got to draw to the nuts on either side with 4 cards. Yeah, I had a great night, a great day today, Dave, but I lost, got killed last night playing some donk heads up in 30-60 high-low, Omaha high-low. We were playing at 2 tables at the same time, too.
If you start
Heads up
playing,
against each other.
now this was a raise and then a re-raise here. So raised to $25 by Michael, and then a re-raise up to $75 by Keith, and Keith is going to take it down. He's not going. Michael makes a nice laydown. He had ace jack, probably not a hand you should be calling a re-raise with. Throws it away. You got to realize, Will, if you're only playing Hold'em, you are really, really not exposing yourself to all that poker has to offer. There are so many wonderful games out there, and the more you play, I mean, you just realize you can learn all of the different ways to play different games. A lot of fun games out there.
Email here by Gregory Reviello. He says, I was watching the show last night when the queen squeezed out a boat on a river and noticed it was, in fact, a 2-outer. Unlike the joker who felt compelled to email you guys last night, I'm more interested in the on-the-fly commentary you guys were able to come up with than the minute details some people like to ride you about. Oh, there you go.
Thank you very much, Greg. No, I got to tell you, I don't mind the emails that point out. To me, it's kind of refreshing to know that our audience and our viewers are paying attention. You know, if suddenly the scary day is not the day that we get an email saying you guys made a mistake. The scary day is when we don't get an email at all, Bart.
Right.
Please, if we make a mistake, feel free. Email us. Let us know we made a mistake. I'm all for that. I have no problem.
Now, Dave, seat 2 here, Michael is going to bet out. Now, we can see what he has, but if you're on the table, what do you figure he's betting here with?
Of course, he's betting a 9. He's betting a flush draw. He's betting a straight draw. And he's probably not even betting a draw. He's probably almost definitely betting a 9.
Raphael called him with queen 10 on the button. And again, now he checks, and I think Raphael, this is a great time.
Great opportunity.
Made the call with the semi-bluff, and now he's going to bet here.
I might call on the button if it was a deeper game.
Yeah.
I might call on the button just to kind of like just to play, make a move on the guy because I know he doesn't have a jack.
Right, exactly.
Probably got me.
Go, okay.
And those guys aren't paying attention enough to the fact that if you had a jack, you probably would raise the flop with other people in there. Jack 9 with two clubs.
Well, the funny thing is sometimes you have to play it the way you think they think you'd play the jack.
Right.
Because if you raised it too quickly, they'd go, wait a second, you wouldn't raise a jack that way. So you almost have to make it look
Well, I
like
got to
that.
tell you, I mean, against players who know my game really well, I definitely have raised boards with trips when I don't have trips. Like a guy will bet and the board is Jack 3, and I raise, and everyone's, oh, you must have a 3-bar.
Right. Well, this it is. Thank you by Anthony. Email here. He actually says that he works at ESPN. Sunday night is now NBC, and I knew Sunday night was mainstream. I just didn't realize which one bought it. NBC got back into football this year, so they've got the Sunday night game, and
So
that
where
is
does-
John Madden. John
They
Madden
went to NBC?
NBC bought him out. I know that.
Madden and Al Michaels?
Yeah.
Really?
And ESPN got Monday night, which will be Mike Tirico, Theismann, and Tony Kornheiser.
Well, you know, Sunday night
Michael takes it down with Queens.
Sunday night is traditionally like a kind of a stupid night for TV, anyways. Well, except for now for HBO, but I mean, like, they usually do like made-for-TV movies and stuff.
Right. I love Sunday night football. I think it's a beautiful thing that the fact that I can wake up.
This is
The fact
funny
that I can wake up at 10 in the morning on a Sunday. I can watch football all day. I can take a 2-second break, have dinner, and then watch football more.
This is funny though, because the Sunday night game used to be a really meaningless game. Sunday night, I thought it was kind of
It's not always a meaningless game.
It was nowhere near as big as obviously the Monday night game. I mean, in terms of how it was built up, but I mean, I guess what you're saying is, I mean, with the parity in the NFL now, they can't just do the schedule out the season before.
No, of course not.
You know.
Who knows what? You might get a great game on a Sunday night. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I'm such a football fanatic. I can't get enough of it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I love the Thursday night game, the Saturday games, the Sunday game, Sunday night, Monday.
You do have the NFL ticket, right?
Or
you didn't have it?
It was funny. I'll get to it in a second. Ace on the turn here. And Dennis has picked up a spade draw. And is he going to bet a spade draw? Well, Josh is going to bet.
Well, Dan has the trip threes that he checked on the flop.
Yeah, and Josh has actually bet his ace here. Dennis throws away the spade draw. And now Dan will probably, I assume, raise the 3. No, he's just going to call.
Gonna call. That is unbelievable. And now if a spade or a club comes, it might even go check here.
Yeah. And there's the spade.
And the river's a deuce.
And it actually double pairs the board.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
So Dan has got 3s full of deuces. And
Now
Josh checks
again,
it.
if you're in Josh's spot
You can beat nothing.
and Dan bets, there's no way Dan's probably just going to bet an ace here. I just don't think so, unless it's above ace jack. He might not even bet
you can't
it.
really beat much with ace 8 anyway.
Yeah. Remember, your kicker is going to have to play here, and your kicker is garbage.
Right. I mean, Josh has got aces and 3s with an 8 kicker.
Both have aces. Oh, he's got 3. Wow.
And Dan's got a 3, and
Yeah.
Josh loses.
Do you like Tirico, Theismann, and Kornheiser?
I like Theismann. I actually do. I really do.
I like John Madden. I mean, sometimes he gets a bad rap.
No, John Madden's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like football. If the guys stink, I'll just turn them off and I'll put the radio on. You know, Phil Simms is good.
I was a big fan of Paul McGuire, too.
I used to be a big fan of. I like Boomer Esiason.
Paul McGuire was a former punter. Made the transition to football commentary. Because they used to always ride Paul. They used to make fun of him in the booth.
He's a punter. What does he want? I mean, what do you want to be like? Man, you had some grueling days in football, huh? Wow. Pocket queens here for Keith and C5.
And he just lived in here, one off the cutoff.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's just not raising because he just seems to play it so tight.
Yeah, well, he wants to see the flop, make sure nothing bad comes out.
Well, King 10 deuce. He still has the best hand here, but nobody has a king.
Well, let's see if he puts out a little feeler bet and see where he's at. Well, no, everybody checks it. 9 on the turn. And he still has the best hand. Is he going to put money in now? Yeah, now he's going to put a little bet in. And, wow, Rick is going to call him with Jack 9. He's got a gut shot straight draw with a pair of 9s. And the river's a 6 of spades. And if you're Keith, do you put a little bet in there? Yeah, he's going to put a little value bet in there. Maybe get called by a 10 or a 9, he figures. Now, Rick has already been bluffed out once, and I imagine he's going to call now. Never like to get bluffed out twice, do you? And Keith is going to win himself about a $75 pot.
Got about an hour left in the show here, Dave.
What'd you have that time? 6-2 star. That's crazy.
Question here from Michael Feynman. He said, question about my relatives. He wanted to know if I was related to the Tuckmans who used to live in Belmore, Long Island. One of the kids' names was Warren. Big athlete, great musician. Forgot the other kid's name. And as far as I'm concerned, no. No
As far as you're
relation to me.
concerned, or as far as you know?
As far as I know, no.
Thought maybe you were, but as far as you're concerned, you're not.
Oh,
You know,
right,
like
I
you would
said,
disown them.
they're dead to me.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
dead to me. I don't know who they are. Bastards.
Ace King here for Dan in seat 6.
Raise, make it 20 total.
Actually, I think that's Goodfellas. No, I'm sorry. That's Untouchables, actually. Ray. Yeah, Ray is sitting here quoting. He's quoting Robert De Niro from The Untouchables, but he said Godfather. In my ear.
4-way action here, $80 pot.
Really? I don't want your money. I know those movies so well.
Queen 10-9 here.
Okay, 100 push-ups. You're on. I can even tell you the scene.
Betting 20.
Well, Josh is going to lead out here with Queen 5.
Maybe it's in both movies then.
Michael calls with King Queen. And yeah, who are you talking to, Dave?
I'm
and
talking
Dan
to
is going
Ray.
to call here with Ace King. When Dan's calling with Ace King with 2 hearts out there. The turn is a 4 of hearts. You know, there's a technique. You have to let the audience know what's going on.
I thought maybe you'd do that. I was waiting for you to jump in there.
Checked around.
Come on, you're the broadcast major. I don't know what I'm doing.
And the river here is a 6. Well, Josh is going to throw a little bet in here. I'm sure that Michael's going to at least call. Yeah. King Queen's going to take this one down.
Yeah. Take it down, Michael.
Email here from Jim Biondo. He says, last night there was a lot of talk about teaching lessons in poker. But what about just helping your friends games? Since most of my friends are also my competition, am I being selfish for not being too giving in terms of my poker knowledge? What do you guys think about this?
I don't think so at all.
No?
I got to tell you, I mean, growing up, I played home games with all my buddies. What am I going to, like, after the games, I'm going to go, hey, you know what? If you played it this way, you could beat me.
Right, yeah.
Sorry. I mean, I was amazed. You know, Hav actually told me that he was giving Barry Woods some tips. And I'm like, I like Barry Woods. He's a great guy. But if you're going to play against this guy, why are you giving him tips? Do you want him to take your money? Okay, I'll let everybody in on what we're talking about. I think Ray was saying, I want his house. He was trying to quote Godfather, and the quote was, I want his family dead. I want his house burned to the ground. And I was trying to correctly quote him, saying it was actually from The Untouchables. Somebody on 2+2 or somebody can email us and let us know what that's from. We've now a bet. I think it's 100 push-ups is our bet.
The Untouchables took place in Chicago, right?
It did. It was
Yeah.
it's the
Right.
Elliot Ness story. Al Capone, tax evasion.
Raphael is bet here with King Deuce, and King Jack is called with a gut shot. Well, it turns an 8.
Yeah. Well,
Dan's
now
now open-ended to the nuts.
that's the kind of open-ended you like. So if the queen were to come, you might get paid off a lot by somebody who has just a jack.
I'll say, like, if Raphael had Jack 10 here and kept betting.
Definitely. Exactly why you might call this, because there's huge implied odds. Now, in this game, he's just not deep enough. There's no implied odds, really. But he's got the best hand, but how does he know?
Dan's going to call here again. And I don't know, is Raphael going to fire a third bullet, or is he just going to give up if this goes miss? Well, there's the queen. Dan's got stone-cold nuts here.
Yeah.
He's got stone-cold nuts.
Big ones, too.
Yeah. Raphael was bluffing, and he's going to try to bluff here. You know, if he's going to, what is taking Dan so long to call here? He calls.
Just double checking.
You know, if you were going to need to bluff Dan off of there, actually, you know, it might look like a crazy bet, but if you think Dan's just kind of crying calling with the 9,
Well, he just called, right? He
Pushed all his chips and going all in.
well, Raphael doesn't have to call the extra 10, but he does. That's weird. I mean, that is so strange because Raphael bet 100. Dan pushed all in for 110. The pot's now about 250, 10 to call, but Raphael's got king high.
I mean, he's getting 25 to 1 on his money. Could Dan make that move with 7 high? 1 out of 25 times, could he make that move with 7 high? Probably not, huh?
I don't think so.
I mean, that's all he can beat, right, is 7 high.
Yeah.
Because a jack is a straight, a king you chop it up, or you lose. So 7 high is the only hand you could lose, you could actually beat.
But I mean, if you're trying to bluff the guy out, say you put him on a 9, I don't mind the bet there at the end.
Oh, of course not.
I mean, he only can call you with the jack, I think.
But I think we point that a couple of times, though. This game is not a game where you really need to bluff. You just need to be patient, wait for your opponents to make mistakes, and you'll usually get paid. I mean, I think this game, it played kind of Russ Fox-esque, very tight, kind of waiting for the big hands, maybe playing it a little bit looser than, say, Russ Fox is in position. I think you can pretty much easily make about, I want to say $15, $20 an hour in this game. Obviously, the longer the game goes on and the deeper the players are, the higher your hourly rate would go.
Michael's going to raise it up here. King, queen suited out of seat 2. And we're heads up. 6, deuce, 4 here, Rainbow.
And Michael's going to continue with it, and I like the bet. And Josh throws it away. The way Josh has been calling, calls pre-flop raises, he can have anything. Why not bet it? You don't think so? I mean, let's say you were to log 1,000 hours in this game, 2,000 hours in this game. You could probably, obviously sometimes you're going to play it when the game first starts out. Sometimes you're going to play it, you've already been there for 6, 7 hours. The game is going big.
I mean,
$15 an hour maybe?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I mean, the interesting thing, though, like you said, is that your hourly in the beginning of a session, or say you sit down at a new game that just starts, your hourly is going to be so much more different than it is at a game that has been going on for many hours.
Of course.
It's almost an inconsistent hourly.
Oh,
Whereas
definitely.
if you play the uncapped, restricted but unrestricted games, I mean, that is a consistent hourly because you're always at the same spot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously different games. I mean,
Right,
some games you're
right,
going to be playing where
right.
the game is, we've had 500 games here that play really small. We've had
Right.
500 games here that play huge.
Right.
Got a raise here from Josh in seat number 9. He's got queen 8 of diamonds. Makes it $20 to go, and he's going to take it. No, actually, Dennis called him with a 10-8 of spades. No, 9-8 of spades, I'm sorry.
9-8 of spades.
Well, both players hit their 8, but Josh's queen is going to play. And that's not really the flop you're looking for, Dennis, is it?
Now, Josh is going to bet out here, and Dennis is going to raise. Well, I mean, the funny thing here is that the funny thing, and look at that, Josh gets away from it. I mean, the flop was ace, ace, 8. The funny thing I was going to say is I don't think Josh would lead with an ace. But at the same time, I thought the 8 might be enough to bring him in the pot because he probably doesn't think Dennis would raise with an ace either.
So yeah, it's an odd. In this game, it's an odd raise.
Yeah.
Now, on the same hand, talking about Jim from New Jersey, I will teach my friends, I'll help my friends out if we go to a casino and they're playing against other players, or they're playing tournaments and they're playing against other players. I'm all for, helping out your friends, helping out your relatives. Why not? But if you're playing in a home game all the time, you got to have somebody in there who's going to give you money. Ace King here for Josh. He's going to make it 20. And I don't think anybody's going to call this one. No, nobody is. Take it down.
I'm still laughing, Dave. The $10 stop bet on the river.
Pot's $2,500 and they throw 10 in there.
Yeah. Yeah, the flop came out 10 high. I had ace 10. This other guy now had queen 10 or king 10. And I had to work to build the pot up, Dave, to get all his money in. He bet at me. I was thinking about calling the flop, but because I raised, it got the pot up where I could build enough, make a big enough bet on the turn, where on the river, my all-in was 700 and the pot was 3,000, and he called because the pot was that big.
Right.
Which is the key in No Limit Hold'em.
To building that pot,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Where you make that river bet, the guy almost has to call you.
Right. Because you've built it on the prior streets.
Exactly. And that's really the essence of why you don't have to necessarily build a pot in this game, because you don't have that much money.
Right. But if you were, if you were going against, say, seat 2 there, Michael.
Oh, yeah, and you had him covered? Yeah, definitely. Once again, we're live at the bike. I'm David Tuckman here with Bart Hansen. And you can catch us every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 Pacific time. Tomorrow night's games are big Friday night, double fist night. 10-20 blinds, unrestricted buy-in game. Minimum buy-in's $1,000. We normally have somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 on the table on Friday night, so don't miss that one. King, Jack, 5 flop, couple of clubs out there. And Rick still got the best hand here with Ace Queen. And he puts out a little $35 bet, actually a $45 pot bet, and it's going to be enough to take it down.
Email here from Michael K. Said, Bart, I loved you on Rounders, the poker show. You can head over to liveatthebike.com and check out our commentators. There's a link to my interview in Rounders and to our interview on the circuit. And his question is, will we ever spread any game different from Hold'em? And, of course, we've heard that question before. Logistically, it's a little bit difficult because of the cards, the size of the windows. And people say, well, what about stud? Well, if you even... ESPN isn't even covering any of the preliminary World Series of poker events this year, but in years past when they used to do the stud or the Raz events, all the stud events were done in post-production graphics. It's very difficult, say, to pick up an up card here with a camera.
Yeah, it really is.
It would be impossible to follow live.
Especially when you start looking at it. You got 3 up cards over there, and 3 up cards over there, and 3 over there.
Hold'em is a pretty simple game.
It is.
Now, we could do it with Omaha, too, because that's a flop game as well.
Exactly.
Again, it's logistically, it's a manual input of cards.
Now, we got a pretty garbagey flop out there, 9-4 deuce, and Rick thinks, you know what? Such a garbage flop, I'm going to try to pick it up. Actually, no, I'm sorry, Josh actually bet with ace-king, and Rick called with king-3. Wow, and he goes check, check. And the river is a 3, and Rick sucks out on Josh.
Oh, you
here.
wonder if Rick was going to bet at it, Dave, but then he made a pair at the river, so he chose he didn't think he needed to.
Yeah, wow.
That's a bad beat there after that
That really
flop.
is, yeah. I mean, he only got 3 outs. Wonder why he was called the flop at all, but he got lucky and he got there.
I haven't read your last 2 episodes of articles of Under the Gun. Have you listened to my interview on Rounders?
I have.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Oh, what'd you think of it?
Thought it was interesting.
Just interesting?
Mildly entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
No, I thought it was good. I thought it was well done.
I got cut off there at the end for some reason. I don't know why. The end of the interview was cut off.
Well, if they don't stop you at some point,
Right.
you'll just keep
They
going.
just hung up.
No, I really enjoyed it, actually.
And actually, if you go over to bigpoker.ca,
yeah,
I'm actually in some good company the last couple of times that they interviewed, because if you look at the website here, look, they had Raymer, Ray Cook, Jennifer Harmon, and then me.
That's pretty cool.
Devilfish. Yeah. We got a raise here by seat 7 with Ace Queen. I've listened to the interview a lot.
You know, the funniest thing is, it's almost a joke, but I think everybody listening to the show, and I know everybody in the booth here, knows that's the truth. 7-7 deuce here, 2 hearts. 4 on the turn, and Josh has now got an open-ended straight draw, and you wonder if he's going to bet it. No, he's going to take the card, and the river's a king, and unless he bets it, Rick's going to win this with ace high, and he just checks it down. I mean, I'm amazed that Josh did not bet the turn. You've got to use that semi-bluff, the power of the semi-bluff. Josh bets that. He probably takes it down.
You know, someone can confirm this with me, but
What?
Roy Cook, he was on the Live at the Bike once in a great while, a long time ago, wasn't he? Almost more than a year ago.
Yeah, we've pretty much had everybody and anybody that's in poker has been on the show.
Let's take a look at another chip count.
Okay.
So we got $3,600 at the table. Michael still leading the table here. I want to see, is it interesting? I mean, we'll see the differences here in a second. Is Michael up or down for the night?
He's up $920.
Up 920.
And he's up about 120 since the show started.
That's what I meant.
I thought
yeah.
you meant that. Keith up 200. Walt up 190. Nice quiet.
Raphael's kind of having a tough time over there.
Yeah, he's just going south the whole night. Now, as for other games, I'm actually working on software myself at home where the cards can automatically be inputted, basically making Ronnie's job obsolete.
Right.
We'll be able to fire Ronnie finally.
Replace Ronnie
Yeah.
with a robot.
Exactly. But wouldn't that be cool though if we had some sort of like camera that when the card just slid over the camera, it was able to identify what that card was, and it would automatically go into our computer. And obviously that would make it much easier for us to do Omaha. Considering right now we manually put in all
Well,
the cards.
supposedly that technology is there in the sense that I know I was watching, some sort of. I mean, they should call the Travel Channel the Las Vegas Channel. I think sometimes, so they do so much stuff on it. But some of the casinos have like barcoding in their blackjack shoes on their cards, and they know exactly what's going to come out every card.
Well, I mean, obviously they know when that little ace and the 10 thing. They know that for blackjack.
I mean, the electronic reader.
Exactly.
Check, yeah.
To see if you have blackjack or not.
Three-way action.
Here. Yeah. Oh, all spades. The only spade out there is Josh. He's got the 3 of spades in seat number 9. He's going to check it. And I believe seat number 1, Dennis, is actually going to bet. He's got 7-6. He's open-ended with, actually, I'm sorry, it's 7-8. So he had bottom pair, second pair. Takes down. Can't you see me, though, in my garage, kind of tinkering around with software?
Software? Are you kidding me? You can't even turn on a computer.
Called out.
Well, you said yourself. You're not a big tech guy, right?
Hey, I know how to turn on my PS2.
Are you handy though, like with tools and such, and
I'm pretty
fixing
handy.
things?
Yeah,
Really?
that I'm okay at.
Yeah. I don't know if you strike me necessarily as the handy type. I'd have to ask your wife the next time.
She's handier than me.
Really?
Definitely. Oh, not even a question.
Like fixing things, like physically fixing, like.
She built a walk-in closet for us. I'm just like the brute guy. She just goes, okay,
labor?
do this,
Yeah.
do this, do this.
The labor.
Yeah, next time you come over, you'll see. We built a walk-in closet. It was all her. She did it.
It's like hammer and nails and stuff.
Well, actually, when you came over, we have obviously anybody ever been there. We have a waterfall in our back of our in our yard, in our garden, and my wife built that as well. She's extremely handy. I always wonder if I'm going to go away for 2 weeks and there's going to be like a second story on my house when I come out.
Here it is. Cliff has quoted the Untouchables. I want this guy dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burned on the ground.
Okay, Ray, you can start doing push-ups now.
Keith has once again limped in here with ace-queen. And we're going to see a raise by seat 7 with ace-10 offsuit.
Yeah.
Josh is going to call here with king-queen suited. Now, $40 raise, if you're starting with 200, I don't know if I call with king-queen suited.
I definitely don't call with king-queen suited. That's a huge raise.
Yeah, that's a big raise.
I mean, you're putting in 20% of your stack with king-queen suited.
You know, it's funny here. With Alex's hand with 9s there, you've got a raise and a caller, or 2 callers. I might actually push there. If I first sit down at this table.
You're either pushing or you're folding.
Yeah.
I just don't think, in this game, I am rarely ever calling a $40 raise. When I only have $200.
Right. And now Dan is going to come in with 7-8
Wow, this pot is huge now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
$240.
6 guys, $240 pot. Let's see what comes out. Well, Jack, King, 5. Couple of clubs out there.
Ace-10 is the pre-flop raiser here.
Yeah, but Josh is committing himself, isn't he?
Well, if he gets checked to Josh, I assume he is just going to push here.
Of course. Yeah, and he's going to bet. What he's going to bet? And you know what? I don't know if he realizes how much.
$50 bet.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, if I'm Keith, I call. I got to call. $50 bet. The pot is now $290.
6-1 to hit your 4-outer. But I guess
maybe. I don't know. Maybe my ace is good too, though.
Yeah.
How do I know my ace isn't good? I might call if I'm Rick too. The guy is asking me to call. Remember, he's bet so weak. There's a good chance he might not bet the turn. I might get 2 free cards out of this. One of the reasons
Well, if
why
you're Rick and you had the ace of clubs, I think you definitely overcall. He doesn't have the ace of clubs.
yeah,
You know.
one of the reasons why Bart and I like No Limit better than Limit now is because there's an added way for people to make mistakes.
Right.
You know, obviously Limit Hold'em and No Limit, there's always that what hands to play mistake, but now there's also how much do I bet mistake. And you see here, seat number 9, Josh, clearly not betting enough with King Queen. Now he might win the hand anyway, but let's see. And there's the ace.
Yeah, that's like you said.
And now Keith has actually got a top pair
Look at that.
with the Queen of Clubs.
He's got the nut flush draw.
And you know what? Josh has let him get there. If he bets 250 on the flop,
yeah.
he wins.
And it gets checked around. River's a club, and Keith has got the nuts here.
Yeah. I mean, you've let him get there. It absolutely boggles the mind. And he's only going to bet 75. The pot is $400.
Yeah, these guys don't understand like how big this pot is.
And he's going to get
Rick
called.
is going to get called here. I mean, Rick has basically got this. I mean, Rick has the third. What is it? Third nut?
Yeah, he's got the third nut.
Yeah.
Queen of Clubs. No, he's got the second nut. Well, he doesn't know the Queen of Clubs.
Right. He doesn't do the third nut. Although Deuce 3, of course, is the first nut for anyone that's going to
Yes.
coyly enough to say that we misread the board. Deuce 3 of clubs, the first
Now, I
nut.
got to read this here. Obviously, once again, our fans have come through for us. Right away, we get a link here to the IMDb movie title thing. Website, and he goes, this is actually the website is memorable quotes from the Untouchables from 1987, and the quote is, of course, from Capone, Robert De Niro's character. I want this guy dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burned to the ground. If you can, and Ray is saying, obviously now Ray incorrectly thought that quote was from Godfather. Now, if you can show me that that's actually from The Godfather as well, I'll do the push-ups with you. I could use them. This is limped around here. Flop is at 9-4-5. And Alex has got top pair. And Alex is going to move all in. Actually, there was a little bit of a pot sweetener, and I apologize. Rick actually did make it $15 and got called in those 3 spots. Pot was $60. Now Alex has actually moved in for about $120, and I don't mind this play at all. You've got to realize somebody go, well, you're overbetting the pot. Well, if he bets 60, which is the pot, he's pot committing himself anyway. Why not let the table know that he's pot committing himself? Nothing wrong with that. And I'm not sure what Michael's asking to count it out. I'm not sure why. Just to make him sweat it out, I guess. And Michael throws it away, and Alex is going to win himself a pot. And that's often how sometimes in this game, when you first buy in, that's how you got to play it. In the sense that you've almost got to build your stack up and commit yourself with less than stellar holdings. Button moves over to Alex in seat number 3. Small blind again is $3. Big blind is $5. And Dan in seat 6 will be under the gun. And Raphael, maybe his luck is finally going to turn here. He's got pocket aces in the small blinds. And Josh is going to raise it up with, yeah, that's not a good hand. He's got 7-3 of diamonds. I was trying to make a spin on it. I can't spin that to make it good. That's a bad hand. But he's going to make it $20 to go, and Raphael's going to re-raise it. He makes it, I want to say, 60 to call. So it's 40 more. That's going to get Keith out, I'm pretty sure. That gets Walt out. But Josh is going to call. And the problem with calling here is not necessarily that Josh has no money, but Raphael has no money. So you're calling with almost no implied odds. Just pure gamble. And the flop comes out King 5 deuce. Not a bad flop at all for Raphael. Raphael moves all in, and Josh really can't call this. He's got no pair, no draw, no nothing, and he lays it down. And Walt actually would have flopped a set of deuces. But you can't call a $60 bet there. Walt knows that. Especially when Raphael has no money. That's the kind of hand where if you get a raise and a re-raise out of the blind, and I'm real deep in a big game, oftentimes you can put a re-raiser. Somebody who re-raises in the blinds, you can put them on a big hand like aces, kings, or queens. And that's a spot where I go, okay, great, I'm going to call this with a small pocket pair, see if I can win a big pot, but I have to make sure that the guy is deep enough to make that call. And when I say deep enough, I really want to be making 12 times, at least 10 times the bet size, probably closer to 12 times. Just because so many things have to go right for me to win a big pot. You think about it sometimes, obviously, if, let's say the guy has pocket queens, I have pocket fours, the flop comes out ace, four, deuce. Well, I'm not going to win a big pot because the ace is going to scare him. It's going to save him. Flop's got to come out like 10 high, 10, four, deuce for me to make money there. And this is actually limped around. We're going to see this 5 ways, $25 pot. Flop is queen, 9, 3, and Michael's flop top 2. Not much of anything else out there. Couple of hearts. Nobody's got a heart, though. And Michael's going to bet it. Now, he's in position. Normally, he'd slow play that, but in position, he figures, you know what, I got to bet this. 2 hearts out there. The board's somewhat connected. And the action's over to Dan, and Dan's going to call with 2 black 5s. I mean, you just wonder exactly what is he thinking there. 2 black 5s. What if the 5 of hearts comes out? How do you even know if you're good? And there's the 4 of hearts. I mean, calling to hit your set on the turn, you almost never have enough odds to go for that. You really don't.
We were talking about one specific incident when you said you were so super deep you were doing it one time, one night, because you knew who had the trips and you knew you'd get paid off 100% of the time. But in this game, it's impossible.
Well, I'll give you an example. Let's say this flop was queen 3-3.
Right.
And you get a bet by one guy, then a call, then another call, right? And the guy who's calling, you know he has a 3. If I have pocket 7s there or pocket 5s there, I can call because if I hit my 5, I'm going to win that guy's entire stack. And if he's deep enough, I can make it worthwhile. But you've got to realize that you're only going to hit that one out of about, 23.5 times? I mean, Dan called like a $35 bet on the flop. The pot was like 25. So he's calling 35 to win 60, plus implied odds. I mean, I just don't. And he's not deep enough. He only has $250 in front of him.
I was in the bathroom taking a piss next to Vince Bergio.
It's pretty exciting.
Just a second ago.
Vince is in the house. Vince is a great guy. Really, we've interviewed him on Live at the Bike. Is the interview actually available in the archives, right? I tell you, the tales we hear here, it's, I'm not sure why we always have to hear about your bathroom stories.
The funny thing is that if you go out into the hall there's a car out in the lobby, a Cadillac. How did they get that car in? There's a car actually physically in the,
right.
How did they get that in there?
Have you ever seen $1 Million Baby?
Yeah.
Are you like the guy who sits there and goes, how do you get the ice in the bottle?
Did they take the doors off of the front? Yeah. I figured they just drove it in through the back and drove it down the hallway. Like, past the poker office. Would a car fit through that? Drive down the hallway?
Yeah, why not? It's pretty thick.
Oh, look at this. Brian's a picture of his baby.
Oh, we should put that on one of the guys' cards.
Grace Brianna. Set of 4s. Yeah, we can put it in the card window. Gracie? Is that how you get Gracie? Grace?
Jack of spades on the turn. Nobody's got a jack here.
Well, nobody bet. Dennis did not bet, and he checked it again.
And Dennis still not putting any money in the pot.
And the river here is a 10.
And still nobody's going to put any money in the pot. And Dennis is finally going to bet. No, well, he finally gets Josh to bite. Josh bites with queen 6 of hearts. He has absolutely nothing. The funniest thing here, you look at this. Now, Josh has missed his draw. He had hearts, okay? And this is what we talk about all the time. Like, we did say you can play it a little backwards in this game, but you've got to charge somebody. You've got to realize, with a board of Jack 9-4, if you were to bet, you would get called by anybody that had 10-8.
Yeah.
You'd get called by anybody that had hearts, and you get called by anybody that has a Jack or a 9. Now, by not betting, you give Josh the free draw, and then by the time the river comes around, he hasn't made his hand. So there's no point in him putting any money in the pot.
There's Brian's daughter. Hey, put it vertically, man.
Beautiful baby there.
Are you out there, Ray?
And
there's Ray.
That is our superstar dealer, Brian's baby girl. born 9 pounds.
Big girl.
Yeah, well, you know, Brian's a big guy.
I was saying that how my dad, when my dad was born, he was 13 pounds.
That's just
13
insane.
pounds.
God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless his mother. What a poor woman. Jeez.
Did they have epidurals back then, like in the 40s?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I'm sure she was screaming for something.
Yeah.
And here's a question from Dan here. It says, would it be possible to find enough players to play a mixed game at Live at the Bike, like the big game held at the Bellagio? Email from Dan, and we appreciate the email.
We did do a mixed game one
Yeah.
time. I don't know if that's in the archives. It might not be.
And you've got
It
to
is
go
in the
back.
archives,
If
yeah.
you go back to like last
February, Shirley and I.
February and March, and I did it as well.
Yeah.
Where we had Padugi in there and other games, and it was really, really difficult to follow the action.
Of course.
But you can check it out. Go to the archives. Go back to last February and let us know if you think it worked. We didn't, obviously.
And then some guy, I remember from that episode, just had the idea that they were only supposed to put the cards in during the Hold'em portion of the show. Do you remember that, Isaac? No, come on. That guy?
And another email here from Joe McLean. It's coming out here. Movie question. I hate to say it, but Tuck is right. No question. It's Untouchables.
How old?
Thank you, Joe.
18. Congratulations.
And once again, we get another email here from, I want to say Dip.
Boy or girl?
Yeah, the Dipster out of Pennsylvania. He says, it's
Last
Untouchables.
time you slept was what, 9 days ago? Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
Thank you very much, Dipster.
Congrats, man.
Ooh. Thank you for the picture, Joe McLean.
It's amazing. When will people stop making prop bets with me? Raise out of seat number 2. Michael made a little raise here with pocket 8s under the gun, and he's going to get called by seat number 7. Rick's going to call with a weak ace on the button, ace 5. Not really a hand I'm going to be calling a raise with ace 5 offsuit. And Dan also called with queen jack, and we're going to see this 5 ways. Pot is $75.
Well, there's the jack 10-3.
Yep, Dan has got top pair. And Michael's going to put a little bit of a continuation bet out there. That's a real weak bet. $20 bet into a $75 pot. And I think if you're Dan, I think you need to raise this. That board is far too connected to just call. And he is going to raise. Nice raise there by Dan.
Raise or fold, right? We talk about you
Yeah.
might not be in there with queen jack to hit that board.
Yeah, in
Jack
this
10.
game, I don't think you can fold it. I really don't.
You don't think you can fold top pair?
Not, in this game, I think.
Yeah.
I think in this game, until you build your stack up to $500 or $600,
Right.
I think you really you go to war with top pair.
Right.
You do.
Right. Obviously, when you get deeper, though, you've got to understand.
Oh, then you
Yeah.
reevaluate it.
Yeah.
But when you have $200, it's just too many times where these guys are misplaying hands where they're betting pocket 8s.
Have I really set a precedent where people are emailing me like Japanese porn here? Pictures? I guess I have.
Apparently,
Keep it coming.
Apparently, people will send you for every email they send. They seem to send you,
A naked Asian woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
apparently. It's a very disturbing trend, I must say.
Disturbing. Button's gonna move over here to seat number.
Well, the only reason it's disturbing because for some reason people associate me with you.
Oh, I see. There's a little nipple here.
Raise, make it 20.
$20 raise here by seat number 7.
And one day we got to get you out in the urinal. We got to get you actually in the bathroom with a microphone,
Yeah.
so you can actually conduct an interview there. Set of 7s here for Raphael, and nobody really has much of
Well,
anything.
I'm open-ended straight draw
Oh,
here for
sorry.
Dan.
Yeah, you're right. Dan does have the open-ended straight draw.
Backdoor clubs. Now, Raphael checks the set. It gets checked over here to...
Why? I just don't understand why you would. Now, it's one thing now.
And did Rick bet 100? Yeah, it looked like there was... Is that a white chip there that he
That
bet?
is
Oh, he bet 50. He bet
$50.
50.
Now, it's one thing if somebody bets into you to
Everybody
kind of slow
calls.
play it. Now Dan has actually picked up a. Dan has actually picked up.
And he gets checked around. He picked a pair with the straight draw, and the set of 7 survives here. But Rick also picked up a straight draw, a 4, a 9.
A 9 is going to kill Rick.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, same hand. What am I talking about?
No, well,
They chop it up.
yeah.
4 or 9, they chop it up. And once again, Raphael probably could have gotten paid the entire way by a draw, but in this case, he let them have a free draw, and now he bets. And now it's an easy laydown for Dan, and it's an easy laydown for Rick.
So often, Dave, even, people do it just, I don't think they're thinking they're trying to control pot size, but it's so often that when someone tries to check raise on the turn in a multi-way pot, the damn thing just gets checked all the way around. It's that much less of a chance of you making more money because now there's no money in on that street.
I have no problem. Hey, in this game, if you are in position and somebody bets into you, I have no problem calling with my set.
Right.
But I'm certainly not going to be giving free cards.
Right.
I just don't understand why. I mean,
Rick is struggling with this one here.
Not only does Raphael not make any money on this, I'm assuming Rick's going to lay it down. Not only does Raphael make no money out of this, but he also could have been beat. He gave them a free draw at beating him.
Yeah.
Baffles the mind.
How about like a hand that we've seen it? People say like somebody was in there and say like Queen 4 of diamonds, right? Like they had top pair on the flop, and then they backed into a backdoor flush.
Oh, here we go. You can always count on the potato. Our live at the bike potato, Jay Siegel. He says, hey, the cards that we're talking about have RFID tags embedded in them. They are small computer chips with an antenna, flat copper, attached. A radio signal is pointed at the tag like a police radar gun, and the signal then bounces back from the RFID device with digital information about that specific tag. The serial numbers, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, you can figure out what the cards are. Okay, I'll work on that.
And we're getting... That was for chip.
Apparently they make it for chips right now, but not for cards yet. And apparently we're hearing from our producer that she's already researched that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point, Ray. Corporation Mike wouldn't be able to play because if he ripped up cards, that'd be expensive cards that he would rip up.
Yeah, we definitely have to talk to him about that. I wonder what they go for, a deck. Yeah. That'd be kind of cool, though. We'd have our own special live at the bike cards. Oh, who knows? Maybe in the future.
We got three-way action here. We had a bet out by the button, Dennis, with nothing. And Josh called him, and so did Dan. Dan called with bottom pair there, deuce 3. And Dennis is going to continue to fire here. And again, you watch a guy play real tight, and now he's going to bet. And, he might scratch his head and say, well, how can these guys call me with just, like, ace-10? But this isn't a game where you're going to try to bluff, and you might lose by doing it.
You realize this. Dennis has played it tight all night long.
Yeah.
And it's going to work. It's going to work, but I really don't think the players in this game are paying attention, which is why they all called him on the flop.
Right.
That play is definitely kind of a negative
Dan
play.
would deuce 3 there, so if he catches a 3, I guess he's willing to commit all his money, right?
Right.
If he catches a 3. I mean, bottom 2 pair there on the turn.
And especially, you've got to realize there's a chance somebody could have queen 10 already.
Oh, yeah.
There's sometimes where you don't really want to go for that 2 pair.
Button's going to move over here to seat number 2.
Hey, once again, don't forget to miss tomorrow night's game. Starting at 7 p.m. Pacific time, we've got our double fist night. 10-20, no limit hold'em. Probably somewhere around $50,000 on the table. A lot of action. Kind of a quiet night over in 2+2 land. Live straddle here by Keith.
6-way action here.
$60 pot. Wow, nice flop for Keith there. He's flopped the straight, he's flopped the nuts, and he has backdoor club draw.
And look at Alex. Alex has got top and bottom, and the money might go in here. He's going to lead out with ace-10.
What are you talking about? They're both going to slow play it.
No, the guy bet out, and Keith is going to raise here. So there you go.
No, am I watching the same thing?
Yeah,
You're
Alex bet. And look at this. Rick has also got queen jack.
Well, Keith is on a free roll. Rick cannot win this
all
hand.
in.
Oh, actually, yes, he can. I'm sorry. He can catch running spades. I apologize.
95. Total 95.
Well, Keith can catch running clubs, and Rick can catch running spades.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Rick is more of a favorite than Keith.
Because one of the clubs, I think, is taken out by
Okay,
Alex.
so there's also deuce 3 of clubs in the hand as well.
There was deuce 3 of clubs.
Yeah.
But our software doesn't take account for that. So now it's back over to Alex, and do you think he's going to get away from this?
I think he's going to push. And in this game, you can't really blame him.
People might be do this with king, queen in this game. Alex needs to fill up here with an ace or a 10.
Well,
Rick could catch a spade here.
No.
Oh.
And he's asking for it.
A bet, a raise with the nuts, an all-in with the nuts, and the guy.
And look what happens. You actually put your money in on the flop, and you win yourself a big pot.
Yeah.
Now, in this case, they chopped it up. But.
Nice little spade would have been nice on the end of that. Should've called my hand. I had
I was wondering if now I got reports that Mike didn't really have a great showing down at Mandalay Bay during
really?
the World Poker Tour event. Yeah, according to Hobb, he was saying that Mike just doesn't have the patience to play in these tournaments.
Yeah.
He gets a little itchy and antsy after about 4 hours. And you've got to
It's
realize
funny,
that
he's got the patience to play the cash game, but not a tournament. Well, that's because he doesn't really have patience in a cash game either, but he gets away with it.
well, he doesn't. He gets away with it when he's running good.
Well, he plays it laggy, it's real cash, but in a tournament, I mean, he's not going to be able to make these moves in a tournament necessarily all the time.
Well, it's also a matter of having that many more chips.
Yeah.
In a cash game, if he takes, if he buys in for $5,000 and he takes a $1,500 hit, no big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I played bad earlier. That's why.
You can also rebuy, but in a tournament, you take a couple of bad hits and you're done.
Surfing the Line says, I actually watched the WPT event on TiVo Super Speed to see if I could catch it. I did catch Tuxman's stupid ass. He looked like a retard. No class as usual.
I tell you.
I'm telling you, you were wiggling around.
I got to hear it from you, and now I got to hear it from Jeff Klein? Are you kidding me? This guy has been giving me heat ever since the show started. That's it. Jeff, next time I see you, man, we're going at it.
Whatever spade you need.
And
Free rolling on the turn.
Keith's got the best hand here. He's going to win it with a pair of 10s.
Good old ace. Well, I was going to say, what is ace 9 with the queen jack 10, huh? That's an open-ended straight draw. Bottom end of an open-ended straight draw, but it really is an open-ended straight draw, right? Because the top end is good.
Right.
Queen jack 10,
Yeah.
ace 9.
Pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I like the post from Infinite One. He says, yeah, Bart reenacted it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Tuck gave him a blank stare like, what the fuck are you doing? Hell, I might even rewatch it. Now, that was classic watching you dance.
Yeah, I do it. I do this stuff. I do it again.
Raise, make it 25.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Raise, make it 25.
What are you going to do?
We get a raise here to $25 by Josh with a king jack offsuit.
Going to take it down, no flop. Got about 10 minutes left in tonight's show. Don't forget to email us with your hand for our next video blog. Won't be till next week. Send
And the
them in.
video blog will be up sometime tomorrow. New viewer Trish, she says, please forgive my ignorance, but I've just discovered you. Last night I started watching, I'm really hooked. I live in San Diego. I haven't ever been to the bike. How does one become allowed to play at this table? Well, you can just come down here and put your name on the board. I mean,
Yeah.
we do bigger games on Wednesdays and Fridays, but
Yeah, depending on what game you play,
Yeah.
you might want to call the bike or even email us and we'll let you know on the air. Depending on what game we have, you can just come down and sign up. Good to have you aboard. Spread the word.
four-way action here. King 7-7. Well, Dennis in seat 1 here has got a top
And
pair.
yeah, Dan has trips, and of course he checks it. What a surprise.
Dennis bets. Now, how many times is he going to check it?
Now, what's the best way to make money on this hand? I mean, how obvious is
Bet
it?
probably every street, and Dennis calls you every street.
Every single street,
And
right?
this time, you know,
You
let's
bet, Dennis
yeah.
calls. You bet, Dennis calls. You bet, Dennis calls.
build the pot up nice enough. And now this one probably is going to go check, and it might go bet, and then call on the river.
No, yeah. He's going to bet it one more time, and I don't mind this bet by Dennis because he's probably going to check it down on the river. And what is Dan going to do here?
Yeah, it's going to throw in like that week's probably intention of showdown.
Yeah,
bet here.
this is. He's trying to buy himself a free showdown. If Dan just calls here, and if theoretically he were to check
Yeah.
it to on the river, Dennis would probably check it down.
But instead, I think that if Dan check raised here, it's an easy fold for Dennis.
Well, look at the board. It's King 7-7. There's no draw.
Well, Dan just calls.
And what is Dan going to do on the river?
I guess he's just going to bet the river, and the river now is a 9.
Let me just double check my 7 one more time. I mean, I know we see the cards, but isn't it obvious to everybody else? I mean, couldn't he just turn the 7 over? Wouldn't everybody know? Check it one more time, Dan. And I don't mean to hammer him, obviously, but
And now he comes out.
now
and
he comes
bets.
out and bets. Surprise,
And
surprise.
this should probably be a pretty easy laydown. I mean, Dennis can't beat. He also, like, if Dan was check calling with King 9, he can't beat that either.
No, he can't beat anything.
There's nothing he can beat. He can't
What,
beat
you
a
know,
real king.
Dan's going to suddenly come out and bet King 6?
Right.
You know what? I'm going to bet my King 6 now. I think you were bluffing.
Yeah.
I think you missed your flush draw.
Now, if he had Ace King in this spot,
I still lay it down.
yeah, this is a really easy laydown here for Dennis.
Maybe it's not that obvious. Maybe we're just privy to the cards. Maybe it's easy for us because we're seeing the cards here.
Maybe.
Maybe I'd be fooled if I was at the table.
And look at
too.
this, he calls. I mean, I think it's just a frustration call. And again, I mean, Dan will remember that he played this hand in this manner, and he'll play it again because he thinks it's the proper way to play it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once again, I mean, we're not hammering him. Obviously,
Right.
these guys are recreational players. They're playing in a $200 game. Nothing wrong with learning how to play and having a good time.
Right.
But we'd be remiss if we didn't point out what we believe. And there's a schedule, but I don't want to hold us to it because we're never really holding. Pretty much Wednesday and Friday we stick to.
Yeah.
But
Well,
besides that,
Wednesday's now kind of become that 20-40 game, which is
Right.
I mean, basically the
Same
same thing.
difference.
Right. Although we haven't had the limit game on here in a while, I don't want to see that die. It's just during this. No, yeah, Ronnie says I do. I think it's really difficult for.
yeah.
Ace deuce deuce here on the flop. Looks like it's going to get checked around here.
And nobody's got anything here. 10 on the turn, and now Rick has picked up a pair of 10s, and he's going to bet it. Why not? I like it.
Button's going to move over here to
Seat number 7, Rick.
7.
Small blind, $3. Big blind, $5.
Are you playing around tonight at all? Sticking around?
I'm going to see how the games are.
Yeah.
Games are good, I'll play. If the games aren't, I'll go home.
Yeah, I actually want to enter one of those things at some point. Maybe
Double
tomorrow.
share?
Maybe tomorrow night. We'll see.
Yeah, actually, the Bicycle Casino is a great promotion going on right now.
Yep.
We have a double shootout going on right now, and you can actually win your seat, $10,000 seat, into our Legends of Poker main event, which is a World Poker Tour event. Get on TV for just about $120, I think it is, right? Oh, it's actually 140 for the first one. If you win the first one, you get a little bit of cash,
Yeah.
plus you get a seat into the second shootout, which is $1,050 buy-in. And then if you win that one, you get a little bit of cash and a seat into the main event.
And then, of course, the bike's also running that promotion where if you come here and you play for a minimum of 50 hours starting today for the next 2 months up until August 9th, you have the opportunity to play in a $125 tournament, and we're giving away 10 $10,000 main event seats at Legends, plus an additional 20
10?
seats.
I thought it was 8.
It's 10.
10?
Yep.
Phenomenal.
And I actually talked to Mo, and he said that,
Look at this interesting bet here.
Josh is going to check raise all in here with
Check raising all in with top pair.
Jack 3 of diamonds.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Dan has nothing.
Dan's got to have something. Dan was just taking a shot at it.
Mo said that they could have made it. Is Dan going to call here because he's got the 6 of clubs in his hand? Wow, that is amazing. He does. He calls here with 5-6 with the 6 of clubs. Well, his clubs are live.
Yeah, they are. He can also catch running straight cards. That's not it. And that's not going to do it either.
Not a
And
pair, but it's no good.
Josh gets a little bit of a gift there.
Mo was talking. I asked Mo, and he said that they could have made it the tournament a total free roll, but what they did is they figured all the money that goes in there from the entry fee goes into the prize pool. And he said, we're actually going to give away a little bit of cash as well with some of the seats, and just some money for tipping the staff, as opposed to just a free roll where there really wouldn't be any money in play.
Right. Now they're also giving away, aren't they giving away a bunch of seats to the smaller tournaments?
Yeah, another 20 seats too.
So the top 30 finishes.
The top 10 finishers get main event seats. Wow. And then the next 20 get a seat until, or the next 10 get a seat until 1,500, and the next 10 get another seat until 500. Now I was talking to people out there. There probably isn't going to be 350 people in this tournament. I mean, it is quite a deal.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, with that kind of promotion, I expect business to really drum up here at the bike.
It should, yeah. I mean, $140,000 in seats. Unbelievable.
I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up having 600 or 700 people in that tournament. But still.
Oh, yeah.
You finish the top 30, and you get a seat somewhere, a free seat, for nothing. I love free rolls, man.
5-way action here.
$25 pot. Queen 10-7, couple of hearts out there. And Michael has the best hand here with Queen 4. Not really a flop you're looking for with Queen 4 spades, but he's got the best hand. Now Josh is open-ended with the 8-9 with 2 hearts out there. Sometimes you don't want to get involved with a couple of hearts out there, but he is, Michael's going to bet his queen. Josh is going to call. And if I'm Josh here, I'm probably going to be betting my 8-9. I don't want to be calling it. I want the fold equity. Turn is a 5, no help. And you wonder what Josh is going to do. He's going to check his draw. And Michael's going to bet it. And that pretty much, is that going to commit Josh here, or is he going to throw it away? And he's not going to get involved. He throws it away. River would have been a 6, and he would have gotten there.
Wow.
And he looked at it, and the river was a 6, and he would have gotten there. Would have made it straight. And oftentimes that's why you play it aggressively. If he's betting that flop, first of all, I doubt Michael's going to lay down Queen 4, but you never know. You may have a little fold equity there. But you can also name your price for your draw by betting it.
Got time for just a couple more hands here. The button's going to move over to seat number 9. And we had an email here regarding, said, a hand analysis question. If you want us to consider a hand that you have for the video blog, and we're probably going to do this once a week on Thursdays, you need to email us with the subject heading, hand for blog, or else the email is not going to be grouped in, and no one's really going to be able to see it for consideration. So.
And once again, the more information you give us about the hand, the better. And anything you can come up with. I mean, even something as minute as my opponent was eating while he was playing.
Right. Or he had just won a big pot. He was stacking his chips. All that stuff is pertinent information.
He was losing that night.
Yeah.
I was losing that night.
Yeah.
Anything.
Little raise here by, I think it was by Josh here on the button with 3-4.
Yeah, he did raise. He's really kind of playing a little bit out of the box tonight. But Dennis is going to come out and bet it right away. Bets $40 on a stone-cold bluff. And it'll probably
All
work.
the raises from the small blind there with 9 deuce offsuit.
Yeah, once again, a nice blackjack hand, but not very good hold'em hands. But it's going to work here, you imagine. And it does.
Tomorrow, of course, going to be 10-20 no limit. $1,000 min buy-in.
Last hand, I rip with a streak.
Button's going to move over here to seat 1.
Just heard in my ear, apparently Ronnie wants to actually keep the show going longer tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, an extra half hour.
Ronnie, have you entered one of those double shootouts yet? Oh.
What do you get for second place? Apparently you win candy for second place.
We get a straddle here, an ace-king of clubs in the straddle spot. Now the button's got ace-queen. Limp, and I assume that seat 9 had ace-queen. He did not raise in the cutoff.
No, he raises with 3-4 offsuit, but ace-queen, yes, he's going to limp in with.
And I assume that Raphael is going to raise it up here. We're talking about if you are straddling in a full ring game, you need to be raising probably 20 or 30% of the time, or there's no point straddling, right? Especially if it gets limped around.
You want the thread of the raise there, because sometimes people will limp in with big hands. because they think you're going to raise.
Well, Josh pulls the limp re-raise all in here.
And, Raphael is going to call.
Wow, Dennis calls with 8s. Well, he actually comes back over the top. Do you buy it? Limped around. Limped in the cutoff. He pulls the limp re-raise, and Dennis re-pushes all
you
in on the
might
button.
put Dennis on a pocket pair there.
Yeah.
You might actually put him on like pocket 6s, 7s,
Right.
or 8s. And in that case, do you really want to get involved with ace-king? I think there's enough dead money in the pot where I think you call with ace-king here.
In hopes you get your $5 back.
And this is going to be the last hand of the night.
Wow, well, it's an exciting way to finish live at the bike. And I think I call this. I really do. In this game,
Yeah.
I gamble it up. I'm getting enough money in there. I'm getting almost 2-1 on the ace-king clubs.
Dennis
Hey.
is in pretty good shape. I mean, a couple of the aces obviously shared here.
Well, he's still in good shape. He's got 2 pair, 10s and 8s. Well, he's got a full house now.
He needs to dodge an ace, a king, or a queen, and he does. And he is going to win.
Wow, and he
the
wins himself a big pot there.
Yeah.
About a $500 pot he takes down. Nice way to finish the show for Dennis there.
So that is going to do it for us tonight.
Yeah, another exciting
And,
night
thank
live
you.
at the bike.
Yeah, all for joining us. We will be back here tomorrow for 10:20 No Limit. And keep those emails coming in. Keep those questions for the
How did
video
my
blog
dance go
coming in.
again? I want to see that.
You ruined it for me. I was going to sign off with it. Now it's not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Bart Hansen for Dave Tuckman. Good night, everybody, from Live at the Bike. Hey!
It's here. It's big. And it's closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.